Welcome back to the ePremier League 2024. Group B sees Brighton and Hove Albion return with the same player lineup for the third season. Jadon and Mark Marley, 2022 champion goal poacher, is back and playing for Nottingham Forest this year. And Aston Villa duo 17-year-old Jay Brown and Cameron Rock are ones to watch out for. Now, sadly, we learnt that Sheffield United player Michael Fisher had to pull out of the competition due to unforeseen circumstances. And as per the tournament rules, his matches will be forfeited and awarded 3-0 wins to his opponents during the competition. We're looking forward to hopefully seeing him back at the ePremier League Grand Finals in March. Right, well, Group B, we have plenty more action to come your way, and these are the fixtures that will be kicking us off for round number 1. Newcastle against Brighton and Hove Albion, Painter against Jadon, Banks against Marley, and then we go into also on the other stream, Aston Villa taking on Sheffield United, Jay Brown against Billy Joe, and Cameron Rock against Michael Fisher. Right, well, time to pick your sides on Stream B. Aston Villa, a player. Richard Buckley, nice to be back with you, by the way. Let's just mark that and talk about it. Here we are, Group B. From commentating, casting to being on the desk, you're a man of many talents.
I do a bit of everything, mate. I try. I really do try. I'm looking forward to Group B. I think there's not necessarily a standout favourite, as we had earlier on today with Man City. So whoever can sort of put a couple of results together and start to push forward very well by round 5, we might already have top spot locked off.
Interesting dynamic coming into this one because they've had a few more hours to wait than obviously Group A. They've been watching all of that action. I put this question to Ryan before. Do you think these players will have learned anything from the first half of the day?
Not sure. I'm not sure how much you watch as well when you're locked in practicing. Obviously, the practice room a little bit further back. I don't know if you've seen too much. You'll obviously as well have the players going back in there after they've just finished playing, crossing paths and be like, yeah, this happened, excuse, etc. So will there be an advantage, disadvantage? Me personally, I'd rather play early. Get my games out of the way with, get it done, and then you can start to sort of look ahead and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Some of the competitors you mentioned before to look ahead to for Group B. Is there anyone that's currently sat on the floor? You mentioned Painter before.
He certainly has.
He's got a wealth of experience. What can he do to bring that to the Premier League?
I think with Painter, he's, you know, the levels that he can play at. I mean, I think playoffs in 2019, he finished in the quarterfinals, which are a huge, obviously, tournament for him. You can see him on the screen just there. But he's moved away from the competitive scene for the last 18 months. He's been playing, sort of looking into different lifestyles. He's been in sort of a different job here and there. And I think now he saw an opportunity, he saw a chance, and he's taken it. And look, he's in the position where I don't necessarily think he's expecting too much of himself. But why not? Why not go and do something? Why not go and upset the apple cart, pick up a few results, and sort of just really be proud of your own performance? And being proud of your own performance might not necessarily be going to win the entire event, but getting 2 wins, 3 wins in the groups, going into the knockouts and feeling quite good about yourself is.
On the other hand, we talked about a wealth of experience there with Painter. You've got some players I mentioned before, the 17-year-olds representing Aston Villa, Cameron Rock, Jay Brown. How different is this being here at LAN?
Well, I don't know if we can get the camera over to Jay Brown right now. Just have a look who's sat behind him, who's coaching Jay Brown in that booth. Gorilla. He's there.
I did see him backstage before. I was lurking around and I was thinking, wait a minute, is that Grilla? Is he just in the background? Yeah. He's not representing anyone here at the ePremier League. He's got his coaching hat on. You might be young, you might be 17, but if you've got someone like Grilla behind you coaching you...
The nerves just ultimately disappear. And I think if I was a player, I'd want someone who's been and done it before. A world champion, 2017, he was dominant, sort of pre-Foot Champs era as well. So for Gorilla, it really is like, it's just sort of that opportunity to have someone behind you who you know is going to give you good advice, but not overload you. Now, tell you what you want to hear.
Oh, Just like you always tell me exactly
Correct.
what I want to hear, Richard Buckley. Now, for the viewers at home, you might be wondering why we're not getting things started just yet. We've got a slight delay to the round 1 fixtures here in Group B, but don't you worry, we'll have him underway as soon as we can. You can see just here all of our players. They're sitting there patiently waiting and sorted. Richard Buckley's he's trying to get Painter over to join us on the desk. But we'll let you rest. We'll let you get focused and relax just here. Richard, these are things you've got to contend with. We know that being comfortable at home and competing, or whatever you're playing the game, practicing or competing at your games at the weekend as well, when it comes to land, when it comes to tournaments, there's going to be hiccups. You've got to train your mind to be able to put up with all of these things.
Yeah, there certainly is. And I think for this scenario, it's not only playing in a different sort of setting, but you're playing with a camera super close to you. You're playing with lights. You're playing with... Also, the thing that I wouldn't like the most is the pressure of not letting the person down next to me. We're playing together. You've picked up 12 points. I'm sat there quivering, thinking, I've only got 4 points. I've let him down. And I think for me, that will be the thing that really hurts more than anything, knowing that I've almost let my teammate down.
Well, luckily for you, you're never letting us down here on the broadcast, Richard Buckley, are you? You never do that. You're always giving us 10 out of 10. So thank you so much for doing that. Right, we're going to take a quick pause just now because we're going to bring ourselves together. But I've heard that Casey might be backstage. She's doing my job just now. We're all changing jobs. Casey, who have you got for us?
I am backstage in the Players' Lounge here with Stingray playing for Liverpool tomorrow, so we can kind of stay calm today, but I know you've been closely watching Group A. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's no surprise who won the group. I mean, before everyone said he was going to win the group, but I'll be honest, a lot of players have played really well. You know, Jack Sharp got, I think, the only point Man City dropped. So yeah, I've been really impressed.
All right, then we have Group B coming up. Do you have any predictions, any thoughts on any of those teams?
I think it'll be a really close group. I think it'll be a lot closer than the first one, but I have Forest just edging it.
Do you have anyone out of this last group competing today that you do not want to face off in the next stage?
You know, I'm going to have to say Forest again. Both of them are like my really, really good mates. I've been in Discord with them the past 2 weeks leading up to it, so it'll be a bit annoying to play a mate.
All right, well, I will let you get back to your practice because you've been practicing all day. Back to you guys.
Well, there we are. Casey, thank you so much for that. Very interesting. Stingray, still here. He's not taking the day off. He wants to make sure he's in and around it, getting the buzz. And what a place to be. It's so nice to experience this. For the players that are on day 2, they want to feel the action and feel what's happening.
Yeah, you do, but also I'll say it again. I think there is that little bit of you just want to play early. You want to get the games underway and sort of relish the opportunity of playing. If you were playing tomorrow, is there an advantage? Do you see what's working? I think the only advantage you potentially get in playing later or even the day after is the player selection. Like, I know I've been quite critical of Kai Havertz here today. Do you watch tomorrow and do you go, I'm going to try a different left back? Or do you look at what Erling Haaland's doing and think, you know what, he's got to be in the team for that aerial presence, for that left foot that is so clinical. So there is maybe a very slight advantage to playing on day 2, but I don't think it's drastic, shall we say.
Right, well, the players, they're still getting themselves ready just here. Group B, round 1 games are coming up very, very shortly. Let's focus on Brighton, if we can, because, again, 2 players, I've spoken to them a couple of times throughout the day. I was backstage with them, just finding out and figuring out what they're doing and how they're feeling. Jayden and Mark, we can see in the foreground, there's Jayden just there. He looks super relaxed. When you've been here before, when you've competed at the ePremier League before, that's a man that knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, 100%. I think Mark Marley, he's one of those players that never misses the ePremier League. Closest he went, 2020, if memory serves me correctly, he lost out to Tom Lees in the grand final. I think this Brighton team, we expect them to, I would say, definitely top 8, maybe even a top 4. 2 really, really solid players, 2 players who they like each other, which is obviously always a benefit as well, knowing who you're playing with and sort of having that relationship, even though you never play it necessarily together in 2s, but having that sort of banter, bring each other up after a game. Individual performances, I mean, Jayden, a World Championship that didn't go ahead, unfortunately. He had to his name. In the ePremier League, Mark went super far, as I said, 2020. They are a really solid team. I think, though, Brighton, for me, and probably looking at Forest as the two teams that potentially could be jostling for top spot. Also, given the performances in this cycle of the game.
Well, people at home might be wondering, where are Nottingham Forest? Well, 4 teams are competing, which means that every single round, one team will get the round off, but it doesn't mean we're not putting them to work, because Casey's backstage and she's talking to Nottingham Forest Redlac.
Backstage with Redlac of Forest. He's on a break right now, but his next match is about to be a good one, going up against Aston Villa. What are your thoughts going into this first match?
Yep, it's going to be a tough one. They're the top seed in our group, really tough group, and 2 other good teams, Brighton and Villa, and also Newcastle are a dark horse as well. So yeah, looking forward to it. Waited a year since the last ePremier League and just raring to go.
And I know that you've been practicing back here for quite a few hours, but how do you keep your mind in the zone as you're, going game through game, getting ready for the later stages of competition?
Yeah, just like I said, playing every few hours, staying warm, but not too much. You don't want to wear yourself out. It's a long few hours playing these games, and people won't really understand at home, but there's a lot riding on these results. So yeah, just looking forward to getting into it.
All right, well, I will let you get back into those preparations. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Casey. Now it's time to pick your sides on Stream B. Aston Villa, they're playing Sheffield United. On our main stream, we're staying with Newcastle against Brighton.
Well then, it's time for Group B. We did see Manchester City top the table in Group A. They go straight, as we said, into that fast-track spot back in March. Gravison, we've got a lot more games to conclude today. A lot more, haven't we? And we're kicking off with Group B, which is stout. We kick off with Newcastle against Brighton of Albion and Aston Villa, as we said, taking on Sheffield United.
This is gonna be one of the most interesting group out there, in my opinion. Like, did you just see the names in here? And everyone is been competing at the highest level for 2 or 3 years now, so I do expect great things, especially from Painter, which I kind of relate to him in a way, just competing back in the days, now going back and forth. So
it's great to see him still come through though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I remember 2019, 2021 doing great performances. And yeah, I mean, obviously seeing Gorilla here coaching, but focusing on this match, on Newcastle against Brighton, I mean, the Brighton team should be a strong force in this competition, and especially in this group. But maybe Nottingham Forest might be the favorites coming into top in the group. But I do think it's not going to be as one-sided as Group A was.
No, absolutely. I think it was a couple of years ago, actually, in fact, where Mark Marley and Jenny Groden were actually together in a team. Last year, there was a break in play between the roster, but what was important from that is that they didn't actually get out the group in the end. They just drew too many games. They didn't score enough goals. They weren't maybe clinical enough in the final third. And I made the joke with them both as they came in stage. Just let's not draw many games. And they probably told me to shut up off the back of that. But they're 2 Scottish players that had great success last year. They played the Scottish E Cup, had great success there, did really well. And they're just looking to put it right, I think. You look at Tex and you can speak about how many times Tex has qualified for this tournament. Mark Marley's also got that same record. He's played in every single ePremier League. Yes, he might not have won it. He came close, very close, when you're getting a second place finish. But he's always in the tournament, and he's always a name that we always keep an eye out for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the Premier League, when you come here and you come and watch the games, there are some names you expect out there, and you expect them to just be in the top 4, top 8, top whatever. But you definitely expect Mark Marley here in the finals, and here he is. So he's at home, you could say.
He certainly is. It's his second home, the Premier League. Of Mark Marley. The 2 boys from Scotland have made the long journey down to London, kicking off on the Xbox game. We're going to kick things off. It could be Painter with an early start. Jaden Grodham did represent Manchester United last year. Now this time, it's flying with the Seagulls. Omri into Kevin De Bruyne. It's 2 early shots in quick succession from Painter. As we jump over to the PlayStation side of the game now, while we got a little break in play. This is Mark Marley representing the Seagulls again. Up against Banks. He's got quite an interesting story. He actually could have been here last year for Nottingham Forest, but the beauty of the Premier League, and as we know, or you more than me, Gravison, maybe how many people are actually able to do this as a full-time job. Chance towards about post. What a save, Avisar. A lot of these people that are here have had to take time off from work, and last year Banks wasn't able to get here because of work.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a full-time job for you, sometimes it's a part-time job for you. I remember going to uni and stuff and still working at the highest level, so you can do both, definitely.
Here is Banks now looking for his first chance.
What a save. That has to be like the save of the day, definitely. And that whipped cross by Havertz, that's something we'll see. I know Richard's not happy with him, but that's something we'll see today.
It was one of those that you thought would be destined to go into the back of the net.
Nice build up.
The onside, he was. And speaking of defenders, Gravison, there's another centre-back partnership we're seeing there. We always know that Vieira has got the ability to play as a centre-back. It was often a popular choice that quite a few players do in the ePremier League. We didn't see a great deal in Group A, but in Group B, in our first matchup, it's already in full swing.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, they are the stronger centre-backs you could use at the moment in this state of the game. But we can see now Marley pressing up high, especially with both his strikers. Banks is being kind of anxious, trying to get the ball up as soon as he can. I think he has to be a little bit more careful, but he has to take risks, because if you don't take risks, you'll just keep passing the ball from one centre-back to the other, and you won't do anything. I don't think a draw as a start is a good thing for you, especially a 0-0 draw.
As we said, the maximum points you can get from each of these games is 6. So obviously, if Newcastle were to be on the PlayStation and the Xbox, they would take the maximum points from this round.
This is great.
I haven't been sold by Kai Havertz today, Gravison. He hasn't been amazing, maybe going forward, but defensively there's been question marks on him. De Bruyne, edge of the box now. This is Brighton of Albion. Mark Marley looking for the opening goal. Does feel quite interesting that this game has been goalless for as long as it has. Group A served us so many goals. We've even done a few 5-5s. That's terrible about there. Marcus Rashford tries to angle away.
Yeah, but again, Havertz, that was a poor touch for him. And I mean, you cannot expect that from a left back as good as Havertz is in game.
Clever idea. Carl Walker completely out of position. This is where Mark Marley can punish. Great switch of play. Does he go for a cutback? I thought for a second the extra pass could have been there.
And I know we're seeing Banks not playing at his best at the moment, but I do think that's normal when you take a break for a year. I mean, it's not easy to just stop playing for a year and then be at your highest level next year. So it's going to take probably 1 or 2 matches for him to be at 100% level, in my opinion. So for him to be in a 0-0 result at the moment, I don't think it is as bad as it is for Marley, because he feels the pressure to just score a goal as quick as he can. That's a nice ball.
Goes out for a goal kick in the end. We've had to just quickly restart the Xbox leg of the match. And keep in mind on the other screen, Aston Villa lead 2-0 against Sheffield United's Billy Joe. team that gets to sit out in this group. You could have actually called them one of the dark horses, maybe Nottingham Forest. I've got a good feeling about them, Gravison. They could really cause some havoc.
Definitely.
Oof, this is nice from Mark Marley playing in dangerous areas. That's a great pass. Kyle Walker would be out of position. Kai Havertz has just about got enough to get round him.
Nice defense.
And again, Vieira, proving why he's in the team.
I'm not sure if at the moment Marx is using the diamond formation, 4-1-2-1-2, because we have Nkunku as a cam, and I do think we have both strikers as well. Not sure, not 100% sure.
Well, if that is the case, I mean, that's the prime example, isn't it, of some players that are playing their first ePremier League. They sort of just bring an unorthodox style of play sometimes, don't they, from formation to tactics. We're showing this one again. It is Brighton of Albion that lead by a goal to 0. This is on the Xbox. Jayden Groden leading Painter. There's a small technical pause on the game. It is back underway. And we did see it for a few in-game seconds, though. Gravison, Painter was able to create a good handful of chances.
Yeah, especially with the through balls. Just as he did when he competed back in 2020, 2021. A lot of through balls. And I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of skills, mechanical, amazing stuff from him, but what we're going to see definitely is knowledge, experience, and timing.
Certainly was at the top, wasn't he, back in 2019, as Mitchell was saying earlier. Had a great run in the playoffs, a crazy run in the playoffs. Was amongst the best players in the world on the Xbox at the time.
But then Jayden as well, he has been playing really well for the past few years, especially I would say the highlight was that World Championship qualification in 2021. And I do think he's the main favorite in this matchup. I did train with Jayden a week ago, and you should definitely expect a lot of player locks in attack.
Every time I speak to you, Gravison, you seem like you play with the people that we're commentating on. You must play a lot of games.
I play a lot of games, but I'm still bad.
Newcastle looking for their first goal across the 2 games. Still 0-0 between Mark Marley and Banks. Longest time we've had a 0-0 for. Outside the boot, Varane takes it away from Schmeichel. Jayden Groden could be on for a second. It's Nkunku still in such a tight area. Oh, take a bow. He's got to be happy with that one, Grav.
He's got to be happy. I don't know who's analyzing, if Richard or Kyle, but that should be the goal to analyze. That was a crazy, crazy goal because of the timing.
Well, this one is in the 60th minute. Still 0-0 at the moment. It might be the longest 0-0 we've seen. Are we about to see a breakthrough, or maybe 6 points on the board for Brighton of Albion? Mohamed Salah pushes it onto the feet of Rashford. Mark Marley looking to dance his way into the box with a couple of ball rolls and a reverse elastico.
Really good goalkeeper movement by Banks in that situation. I mean, I would definitely pick Van der Sar over Schmeichel, in my opinion. I think he's just more complete with the ball in his feet. He's obviously taller. His reactions are better. I think overall he's the better keeper. But a lot of players today don't think the same. Nice ball.
Can't find Salah.
I gotta tell you, Vieira has been stellar in this match.
Just looking across this group, there is only one player that's actually playing in their ePremier League Grand Final debut, and it's this man who could be 1 goal to the good. It's Banks, who just dispossessed. Everybody else in this group has featured in an ePremier League Live final before. This just goes to show the consistency for a handful of these players year after year. This would be the only 0-0 we've seen, if it happens, Gravison.
If it happens.
I've got a feeling there is going to be a goal. Which way is it going to come? Hullet finds Rashford, Brighton of Albion on the bounce for...
What a save.
Huge chance there, Van der Sar. Again, backing up your point of why should we choose them over Schmeichel. Trivela may be in the question mark there. No, it's not used by Nkunku as he goes back to Hullet. And another chance to build into these sort of areas now. We'll quickly leave this one. There's been a goal in the other game. Has it gone the way of Painter? He has. He might be 2-0 down, but the deficit has been halved. It's the three Manchester City players linking up in a Newcastle shirt. Off the chest and volleyed into the back of the net. Painter only 2-1 down in that game. Still, we're sticking with this one.
As expected, lofted through ball. I mean, if you're watching Painter or one of the players who competed back in the days, you're gonna be expecting those goals. It's interesting the difference in gameplay between generations and game style as well. Oh, that's a huge mistake.
Hello. Oh, he fumbled it.
Yeah, it was the other one, right? The player was good, but it shouldn't have been Rashford, it should have been Ginola.
In terms of play styles, when you say an old player and a new player, what do you exactly mean by that?
I just think like this new generation of players who are 17, 18, 18, they just like to find themselves in a 1v1 situation in which they can skill the defender and score an easy goal, maybe a tap-in, whatever. I do think back in the days it was more about the passes. So are we going to see passes? Yeah, I think so. We're going to see.
Well, you said about the older generation. Close your ears.
This is it.
Painter right at the back post. He was 2-0 down. Back at 2-2. He still certainly has got it.
Again, that lofted through ball. I mean, it's just different in gameplay. What were you gonna say?
Can't even remember. I was taken off by this equaliser from Painter, who was 2-0 down. Let's close the last stages of this one first, which if it was 0-0, would be the only 0-0 we've seen so far. Here in the ePremier League, towards the back post, it does go. This is on the PlayStation, remember. There's always two games taking place at once.
Nice press. Last kick of the game for Newcastle.
Rashford finds Henry. This very might just be the last kick of the game.
Mistake again.
Carlos Tevez introduced just to shake up the attacking third. And in time of 1 minute, could be a last-minute winner for Newcastle United. It falls back to Henry! Then he might be the only player in his ePremier League debut. But he also could be one of the first names to pick up 3 points in this Group B. Newcastle United with the last kick of the game on the PlayStation leg. Henry battled and barged his way past a couple of names. I knew we wouldn't get a 0-0.
Cold, cold, ice cold. It was just really good FC at the moment. I mean, the extra
Marley
pass.
as well.
I mean, the thing is, Marley wasn't sure. Wasn't sure what he was going to do, but that's a beautiful goal as well.
An update there. That's Jayden Groden leading by 3 goals to 2. Of Brighton of Albion.
Nice ball. But yeah, that's one of the best goals of the day today because of that composure in the last kick of the game, the way he created runs with the left back and the right back, the way he green time shot it when he had. That was a brilliant piece of magic by Banks.
What a start. Certainly would have been nervous, wouldn't he? Had to wait a long time to get his games going. Over here, we could be in for a 3-3 6-goal thriller. Stabaginola on his own. Still, back to Haaland. It would have been fortunate. And we're actually seeing Alisson being used in goal.
Yeah, which is weird.
We
Trivela maybe?
we can't confirm it. Is it his team of the year? There's Rodri. Another goal certainly would just open up a bit of breathing space. Hullet and Kunku.
Nice defended.
Done a great job of just getting in the right areas there, hasn't he?
Yeah. Vintage FC. I love this.
One more pass. There it is!
I love this.
Doesn't need a single skill move, this Painter. To me, to you, along the back line. Extra pass made all the difference. And just like that, we're all square at 3-3.
I love this. This is the way guys used to play back in the days, 5, 6 years ago. And this was brilliant. I mean, just the knockdown by De Bruyne into Haaland. The composure. The defense as well, because in just a few moments before that, he defended a 1v1 situation really good. And I tell you something. You won't see Painter nervous in any situations because, in my opinion, he has nothing to lose.
The only thing he has to lose is maybe some sort of like holiday pay off work. He's going to make the most of this one. He said that's life-changing money on the line. £100,000, remember, on the line for the ePremier League this year. We are playing the group stages today and tomorrow. Adama Traore comes on just to spice up a bit of pace in the final third. It was Newcastle that snatched the 3 points over on the PlayStation.
Nice press.
Are we about to see the Magpies do it again on the Xbox? It will be maximum points. If so,
again.
Into Haaland, it's whipped deep along the back line.
That's
Tell
a
you
nice
what,
goal.
if he's onside Haaland here, he could be in a runner race. He's got lots of time. Can he make the most of it though? He can! Just had enough patience. We can always say it, Grav. You get to those sort of areas and you suddenly just get this overwhelmed, don't you, of what to do, knowing what to do, rushing the chance. If anything, he slowed it down. We'll see it again. Great little run teed there. I know that Haaland's got enough just to pull away, but he just slows it down, has the confidence to cut back inside and then pull off a finish.
Yeah, I mean, the first touch was really good. He kept sprinting. So he found himself in a position in which he could just score out of 3 different situations. So he kept himself cool. And then as soon as he saw that Painter was moving the keeper, that was it. That was just an easy score in the near post. And now we could see Painter keeping the ball, maybe, do you think? I don't think so. I think he's going to attack.
He sort of had to wait for the bait, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did Jayden. What we mean by that is the goalkeeper movement, which is something that you can implement into your game at home. It is risky, but when it pays off, it can be so effective. Well, it looks like the points could be shared here. 3 points each in the start to Group B. Track that one well, did Heung-min Son, who's not a right back by trade, but happy
He has to be fast.
to put in the work. Added time of 1 minute will not be played, and it will be Brighton of Albion that take the points on the Xbox. They unfortunately didn't take them on the PlayStation, though. 3 points apiece after the first game there. two very different games as well, Gravison. One was a 0-0 for 90+ minutes, and that one was just end-to-end. I score, you score.
Yeah, which is surprising because we would expect Painter maybe to defend a little bit more, because I don't think he should be participating in these just end-to-end matches in which you score a lot of goals, because he has to kind of keep possession in a way, but sometimes you just gotta adapt to the gameplay and the way the match is being played. So he did adapt well, but not Painter, but Jaden really kept his composure, his cool, especially in that last goal. And I mean, all to play, 3 points to each, and I do think we did see some great goals and some great FC out there.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? What's going to be enough points-wise to allow you to top the table? We simply can't guess. Manchester City, in the end, before a ball was kicked in round 5, they were 7 points clear of everybody in their group, including that second place. So by that point, it was job done. We're going to have to see how it plays out today. Remember, everyone is here playing for that top spot to go into the top 8 and bag yourself £5,000. Speaking of someone else who is part of our team today, it's Casey, and she's joined by Jaden Groden now.
Yes, I am joined here by Jaden from Brighton with a massive 4-3 win over Newcastle. You were just saying how stressful that was. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it was a really stressful game, to be honest. Started off well, going 2-0 up, and then next thing I know, it's 2-0. And from there, it was a really tight game, but I managed to win 4-3, and we go into the next game now.
Now, question for you. You obviously have your teammate performing over here. Is that on your mind at all as you're playing this match?
It can be, yeah, because obviously I want him to win every game as well. But at the end of the day, I've got to focus on my game. I do as well as I can, and then hopefully he can do the same.
Well, a great start to the competition, and I wish you best of luck in the rest of the rounds. Back to you, Kyle.
Casey, thank you so much. Well, what a first roundup of matches we've had. Plenty more action to go. So don't go anywhere. The ePremier League 2024 is in full swing. We'll be going into round 2, those matchups here in Group B. So make sure you stay exactly where you are. We'll be back very, very shortly. Well, what a start to Group B we've had so far. This, the winning goal. Brighton against Newcastle in that first round of matchups. What a goal it was. Jaden scoring that one, not giving us any emotion though. or maybe we'll see more emotion coming up throughout the rest of the fixtures here in Group B. Let me tell you, that last-minute drama, you cannot beat it, so hopefully we'll get plenty more of that coming your way very shortly. Here's some of the results, though, from that round number 1 here in Group B. Newcastle against Brighton Hove Albion, Painter against Jayden just there. We can go, oh, they were wrong, apparently, so I can go through them, though, if you want. Newcastle against Brighton in that first one, 1-0, Banks managing to score. We saw those celebrations, and then as you just saw, that winning goal just there, Jayden beating Painter 4-3. And in the other matchups, well, actually, Aston Villa against Sheffield United, 3-3. One of that game's ended. And then the other game, as I mentioned before, because of unforeseen circumstances, Aston Villa, they managed to get a 3-0 win. Right, well, joining me just here, this is the beauty of live television. He's just walking into set, as you do. Ryan Pessoa, it's great to have you back with me here on the desk. I mean, coming up to round number 2 here of these fixtures, Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa on the A stream. On the B stream, Sheffield United against Brighton. Two great fixtures.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see Nottingham Forest. I mentioned earlier, they were sort of my favourites coming into in this group, or one of anyway. Redlac, goal poacher as well, who's won an ePremier League in previous history. So for me, they have a lot of expectation on their shoulders.
I was speaking to them yesterday during all the media activity, and they were saying to me, coming into this one, you've got your favourites. So you look at Group A, you look at all the other groups, you think you can pick those teams out. But for Nottingham Forest, Ryan, that experience, what they could manage to do, do you think they're one of the favourites in Group B?
I feel like they have to be, but again, that's no discredit to the other opposition in their group. You've got Mark Marley and Jayden, who are incredible players for Brighton. You've got Aston Villa, we've seen Jay Brown and Cameron Rock. Sheffield United, Michael Fisher and Billy Joel. But again, I feel as if, for me, they just slightly edge it. And of course, not to mention Newcastle as well, who had some last-minute entertainment in their first-round fixtures as well.
Now, you were across all the action happening on Stream B from that first matchup just there. Talk to us about that one. I gave the scores before, 3-3, but apparently some drama.
Yeah, drama to say it the least. It was 3-1 to Aston Villa on Xbox, approaching the last stages of the game, 82nd minute. And then 2 goals in quick succession, the last moments or the dying embers of the game. Played across there, the extra pass to guarantee the shot at goal. Near post, Erling Haaland is proving how important and clinical he can be in front of goal, just as he is in real life as well, equalising there for Sheffield United.
I mean, interesting dynamic for Billy Joe, managing to get that just there, but he's playing on his own. He's not got his partner here, unfortunately.
Tough. It is a difficult situation to be in, but for him, again, just showcasing his ability on a live stage in front of many people watching this tournament as well, I think it's a major, major thing for him, and he should get confidence from that. Right,
well, let's focus on round 2 matchups, all right, because for Sheffield United, once again, there'll be an action on the B stream. They're taking on Brighton. For Billy Joe, he's going to have to pull something out of the bag once again, isn't he?
Yeah, genuinely. It's backs against the wall, as you said, because unfortunately his teammate isn't with us, so it's tough for him to gain enough points. So it's sort of, again, just trying to get the grips of playing in a live tournament on stage. Lights are here. It's different from playing at home in the comfort of that environment. So for him, as I said, it's more so just about getting the reps, getting the confidence to get into the final stages later on in March.
Right, well, let's confirm our round 2 fixtures we've got coming up for you just now. Nottingham Forest taking on Aston Villa. Redlac against Jay Brown on the Xbox. Goal poacher against Cameron Rock on the PlayStation. And then, as we were just talking about, Sheffield United taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. Billy Joe taking on Jayden Groden in that Xbox matchup. Unfortunately, on the PlayStation 1, Michael Fisher against Mark Marley. That won't be played due to unforeseen circumstances. That means that Brighton will get a 3-0 win into that one. Right, well, as we mentioned, that game will be happening on Stream B, I should say. But on Stream A, what a matchup we've got coming up for you. Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa, and I can see the guys are ready to get into this one. Richard Buckley and Brandon Smith. Oh, what a game this is.
Yeah, what a game it is going to be, this one over in Group B between these two household names. You've got an ePremier League former winner in there. You've got Redlac, who has played this tournament. It'll be his 4th time in the competition now, Richard. And he had a good outing last year, if you remember rightly.
Yeah, also first opportunity to see Cam Rock in action. He was the player who did get the bye in that opening matchup. Great performance from Cam Rock this season. He was at the FC Pro Open Global Qualifier alongside 64 of the best FC players on the planet, and he was amongst it. What will he be able to bring to this Villa side this time around? He's up against Goal Poacher, who in his own right is a top player alongside Redlac. And I think a lot of people sort of saying Nottingham Forest as dark horses, as team to watch, sort of that side that isn't Man City, but in the, I would say, collection of Spurs, Brighton, Forest and Palace as sort of like the chasing pack to Man City. Let's see what Nottingham Forest can give us here this evening.
We'll kick it off with the Xbox side of things. As you said, Richard, he couldn't play the last game. He was just looking at his team, basically, and looking at how he wanted to set it up.
Watching the other match as well. Watching his teammate.
We saw his teammate, who was 3-0 up.
Tough scenes.
To throw away the points in the end. Billy Joe putting in a shift over on the Xbox. I think Cameron Rock's a perfect example, though, of someone who took the ePremier League as one of his first opportunities and then just carried on working and working and working on his craft since then. Has been involved in so much more. Speaking of Cameron Rock, he found himself 1 goal to the good. Goal Poacher has won this tournament. He won it with Norwich City. It was a fantastic roster, but on paper you wouldn't have particularly said they were going to win the game.
Yeah, Dammy, obviously, that was when we were playing with 2 players as well. He was very influential in that performance. Maybe Cameron Rock got a little bit of a hard, should I say, Goal Poacher got a bit of a hard run by it. Obviously, Dammy was outstanding. Goal Poacher was more than happy to be that teammate.
Still goalless here. As we said, the other match is also underway over on the PlayStation, where we see Redlac in action. Yaya Toure, we've been crying out to see him today. He's actually involved for the first time really tonight, Richard.
And let's see if that pick is justified from Yaya Toure as well.
There's no Kevin De Bruyne, you can see quite rightly on the side of Nottingham Forest. No De Bruyne in action.
Bit more of a powerhouse midfield, would you say?
Happy to back the Ivory Coast hero, who is unbelievable.
Actually packed Yaya Toure.
It's one of the few heroes that sort of keeps his value.
A couple of days before the global launch, managed to get their hands on him, sold him for 1.7 million coins on the Ultimate Team transfer market.
And since then, you've just packed the team of the year last night as well.
I did.
We are seeing Rio Ferdinand get the nod again. On the side of Nottingham Forest.
Travella.
There's the Travella, green! You know the score. Into the back of the net, Nottingham Forest lead by 1-0. They are a side you have to keep an eye on this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. You just see this goal back here. Kai Havertz, once again, offensively getting involved in the attacks, lays it into the Travella space, and it was always going to be green timed from Goal Poacher.
Although they may have been kicking off at about 6:30 tonight, the players did arrive early this morning. They've had a long time to really play a couple of practice games. You heard Redlac speak to Casey and just explain his preparation. Coming into it, they are 2 very confident players, and so they should be. Genoa looking for a second, finds Mohamed Salah, who's on for a brace! And he'll double the lead.
Sort of Cameron Rock just looking a little bit bewildered. What can I do there? Goal poacher. He's coming into this, Forest. There's sort of an air of confidence around these two. When you speak to them, it's sort of like, you know what? Yeah, we should be one of the favourites. We are playing really well. We're performing to a high level, and I think they're relishing that mantle.
And both made the knockouts last year as well, Rich. West Ham
semi-finalist
made the semi-finals. Nottingham Forest weren't that far behind them. Could be in for goal number 3. Great save, Van der Sar. If you remember right, the side of Nottingham Forest last year, Redlac and RSD. Had a great tournament.
See him in action later on. I believe tomorrow in the evening session. That is RSD.
There's a player lock teased. Again, it's just decision-making wise, not the best. You just see him getting frustrated there on the right bottom corner of your screen.
He's just not been able to get anything going. This could be a chance.
Tevez. Introduced a little bit earlier than maybe I expected. De Bruyne, Trivello, who's time red.
The more and more that ball roll Trivella becomes sort of second nature, and you move the goalkeeper with the right stick to watch the far post.
Hello.
Up in the air, a good hands from Van der Sar. I'd like to see a little bit more creativity in the offensive area of the pitch as well now, where you've got a Kevin De Bruyne. What if you hit the...
Oh no.
Free kick.
Free kick.
What if when you come out of that ball roll, is there an opportunity maybe to hit it across keeper into the far post if you're green timing it? Certainly, I think that could be a potential avenue for success. Because defensively, with the goalkeeper management, you are moving the keeper.
Could be on for a third. Should have. It was a really fortunate bounce back to Reece James. Another day, could be looking at a 3-0 scoreline within the first half. Flicked into the air there. Added time of just a minute. There will be enough time to make this attack happen. Rashford turns! Rashford scores! Three goals to nil, Nottingham Forest.
That was a wink felt around the nation. Oh, that'll be good.
That'll be clipped up,
That'll-
won't it?
That's a new summer like that.
Let's have a little look at what's been going on here. Oh my. It's like watching Sunday League all again.
He's whipped it straight in.
Redlac leads.
So you play a little bit of weekend football. Is that something that happens? Do you have that attacking player who likes whipping it in from a corner?
Maybe under 13 to score directly from a corner, but since then, you normally have the goalie at least a bit closer to the line. Keeper was nowhere to be seen there, and Jay Brown finds himself 1-0 down and potentially on the verge of not the best.
Tough spot for Villa to be in.
Yeah, first 2 games.
Obviously, they got the bye against Michael Fisher in the early game. Billy Joe comes and gets a result in the end against Aston Villa, and now you are looking at 0 points at half-time here, and 6 going the way of Forest. Just having a quick look over to Sheffield United. They're in action against Brighton, and it is 3-2 to Brighton at this moment.
That's Jaden Groden in action now, as you said. Marmali given the 3 points. Back underway here. Forest are charging towards not just 3 points, more goals. To do this against a player of Cameron Rock's quality is so impressive. Rashford, there's the one more pass, finds Ginola. Oh, it's a great cutback. You thought for a second there maybe the shot across goal would have been enough. The goal poacher had another idea.
Nice and patient build-up.
Good feed by Rashford. Tries to pull out Varane. Reece James can, on return, working in the smallest of areas there.
Travella!
Torre! That's why he's in the team! 4-0!
What a statement to put across the rest of this group as well. In the opening matchups, 1-0, 3-3, 4-3. Really tight games. Right now we are seeing a almost complete performance from goal poacher as he leads by 4-0. On the other console, we are underway between Redlac and Jay Brown. Still 1-0, but a little bit further back in time, so more opportunities for Jay Brown to get back into it, which exactly he is going to do. That's live, by the way. I've not seen that before.
Perfect timing.
I just happened to throw at the right time.
For Jay Brown, he'll be desperate to get some more points on the board after thinking that he would have had a guaranteed win in his first game against Billy Joe. Was leading by 3-0. We'll see the goal back there on the cut back. Reece James finds it into Ginola. 1-1 there. And this is live in that game. On the Xbox.
Is he just offside? No.
Henry is onside. Ginola, this is Redlac. Cook it up. What was nearly the perfect attack on goal.
You see Gorilla there, bottom left corner, giving some words of advice. Maybe saying don't move the keeper that far. He's done it again. Oh.
These corners today have been interesting.
Seems like everyone's just been saving themselves, saving the corners, not showing it on the live streams or putting out maybe the tip videos on social media, just having a little bit saved in the back pocket to pull out at the biggest stage that you might be playing on this season.
Rashford teases the play a lot. There are options queuing up. As Forest are running away with the game on the PlayStation at 4-0. We'll stay with this one to close out. It's a bit more tightly contested, this one. Villa. Brave tackle from Kai Havertz, if you got that one, Rob.
I'm just thinking back after 2 rounds, what was City on points-wise? Was it 10 points after 2? Obviously, Forest, they've only played 1 game so far, but I mean, at this moment, they'll be on 4. If there is a winner in this game, for Nottingham Forest, that would put them on maximum 6 from 6. For Aston Villa, they'd be on 7.
Makes it really entertaining as well, Rich, because as you know, the next game is Brighton of Albion against Forest.
Maybe the top 2 who are going to be battling for top spot. And we have to emphasise, if you are just joining us and you're wondering, well, we're playing in groups, but then all the 5 teams go into the knockout. If you finish top in your group, you automatically qualify for the quarter-finals. That means you're top 8 guaranteed. It also means you're taking home, if you lose that quarter-final, £5,000. And you are only 2 wins away. You win your quarter-final match, you win your semi-final match from an E-Champions League and potentially a World Championship spot that you can look forward to later in the year from the ePremier League tournament. All the domestic leagues funnel in to the World Championships later on this summer, and also the E-Champions League. So really, this is the emphasis of making sure that you perform well in your domestic league, wherever it is across the world. ePremier League here this weekend, and then you're starting to push on into the rest of the season with something to look forward to and potentially some life-changing amounts of money further down in the calendar year.
Absolutely. Look, as you said, if you can compete well in this one, Richard, you're guaranteed 2 or 3 more events, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The next thing you know, your bank balance is starting to look even better as well with some of the cash online.
Then you start to entertain these conversations with potentially football clubs, esports organisations, contracts, sponsorships, who knows what may happen for you if you are successful here, not only this weekend, but in March at the finals. I can see some gameplay that looks to be getting us back underway. And with 15 minutes left to play, who's going to fancy themselves to get 3 points in this one.
Well, full-time result between Brighton of Albion and Sheffield United. Brighton of Albion taking maximum points there, I believe.
8-2. That finished up.
Looking at Brighton of Albion, they've got 9 points from 12 coming into their next game against Forest.
What a bounce back as well. When you look at that, obviously the disappointment from Brighton losing late. Rashford.
Nice. Rashford could save Van der Sar.
9's a very healthy total. It's emphatic. Similar to what Goal Poacher has done. Up against Cameron Rock. Last time we left it, what was it, 4? 4-0 up?
Forest and Brighton looking like the dangerous two so far of what we've seen in this group.
Could be a late winner. Real Ferdinand, a player that we didn't see too much earlier on.
He's still around about, what, 500k?
Oh, he's in. He's in.
He could be on for a winner here. Ginola's in a running race. He's got 2 people chasing him.
Oh.
But can't get past the ongoing runners of Varane and Virgil van Dijk. Oh, this could be even worse. Gifted it back. This Jay Brown. There's the flick on.
He had a running V back, didn't he? Van Dijk and Varane chasing him. Just managed, as Red Light was going to pull his foot back with Ginola, to get a hand on him, force him out wide, and Haaland wasn't able to win that flick on for him. The last chance of this game will fall to Nottingham Forest.
Keep an eye on the runners that are just pushing that last man.
That's
Forest have had 2 or 3 waves of pressure. Will end as a draw here. That's 2 draws in a row for Jay Brown. Still undefeated, but for Aston Villa's concerned, they are on 5 points from 12 at the moment.
What did you say earlier on, Brandon, when you were looking back at last season and I mean, especially with Brighton and whatnot, draws don't really do much for you. You have to be picking up at minimum at least 4 out of a 6 if you're wanting to push you on. You see Goal Poacher here, 6-0 up. This is live shots. All the other matches in the studio have wrapped up. So to bring you some coverage, we'll stick with this one. However, it is comprehensive from GP.
Could be on for 7. Look at Rashford. Henry to Rashford for 7. Former ePremier League champion. Cruising his way to his first 3 points on the main stage.
What a start. You're waiting in the wings first round. You're thinking, oh, I wonder what's going to be happening.
That's a player, Richard, that's been here since probably 11, 12 midday. Has just been ready, raring to get going.
It's made it look very simple.
For Cameron Rock, he has to...
How do you even bounce back
they've
from
got
this?
they've got the next game off, but they have to come back on in fine form, because you can imagine a 7-0 defeat. It's going to knock your confidence.
You're playing Brighton in round 4, followed by Newcastle United in round 5. Must win games if you're Aston Villa and you've got hopes of propelling yourself up this table. However, with Brighton playing well so far and points sort of going their way, they will be the leading challenger in this group.
Number 8, Ginola, back to Salah, fake shot. Oh, he could have had it.
Is the gap already too far? That's the question, even after 2 rounds for Aston Villa. We'll wait and see.
Added time played, that'll be a full-time result. What a result it will be. 4 points on the board for Nottingham Forest. In their opening round of games, they remain unbeaten, but it's a great start. And they'll take on Brighton of Albion in their next match-up too. That's one that I cannot wait to see. Incredible scenes. As we said, brilliant stuff. 4 points on the board out of a possible 6. They look like the team to beat, Richard. And as we said, plenty more action coming up here in the ePremier League. We're off for a quick break now. When we're back, it's time for round 3. And the games are coming thick and fast. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the ePremier League 2024. We're in the middle of Group B, and this key moment was part of a 7-0 thrashing from Goal Poacher against Cameron Rock. Goal Poacher representing Nottingham Forest, getting off to a flying start. Right, well, we've got plenty more action to come your way. Don't go anywhere. And one man that thought he would join us because he wanted to get in on the action. He's not got anything to do until tomorrow. It's the man stood next to me right here. Shorey, welcome.
Hello, mate.
It's great to have you on the desk with us, joined by Ryan Pessoa as well. You've got an excellent job coming up this weekend. You're coaching, but we know that you've taken part in this tournament before as well as a player. We're just going to focus on that game very quickly. I want your coach's eye. Goal Poacher, 7-0 against Cameron Rock. What did you notice from his game?
I have to say, I mean, Goal Poacher, I'm not surprised by that result at all. Okay, maybe 7, you know, it is quite a lot. we'll always admit 7 is a lot of goals in an FC Pro game, but Goal Poacher, he's done really, really well in this competition in previous years as well. He's won it before as well. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at the result, to be honest. Maybe 7, though, we'll say.
I like to let people in on a bit of the magic that's happening here. And Ryan, you came over during that game. You'd been backstage, you'd been having a little bit something to eat, taking a bit of a rest, and you couldn't believe the scoreline. You were grabbing my hand, you were tapping me, saying, what? Is that 7-0? You couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that is a resounding victory. You spoke about how good Goal Poacher is, but Cameron Rock is an incredible player as well. So be able to scoring 7 goals against him without a response is unbelievable. I think Goal Poacher, when we talk about confidence, that's something that will propel you to a different level of confidence.
And how important is confidence? Both of you have played at this tournament, coming into the ePremier League. Shorey, confidence against skill. What would you say percentage-wise is most important? Obviously, you've got to be able to do it with your hands, but you've got to have the right mentality as well.
100%. Well, when you come to an amazing event like this, putting your foot down right at the start and having, you know, like a win like that is absolutely huge for your confidence. And I think we just know this game, it's a big mental game.
Absolutely.
Like, it's huge for your mentals. So I'm sure Goal Poacher will go ahead and just absolutely keep firing now, to be honest.
Yeah, I have a question in regards to Tom Lees tomorrow. You're coaching him.
Good boy.
Yeah, how would you say his confidence coming into this tournament for him now? He's, of course, a previous ePremier League winner as well, representing his club in Spurs tomorrow. How is he feeling coming into it?
Well, I'd say with Tom, I live with him, so I see it every day. And to be honest, I think he's just really enjoying his game at the moment. I think he's got a good flow of how much he plays and practices and stuff. So coming into this, I think he's probably one of the most relaxed I've ever seen him going into a tournament.
Yeah.
And I'm, as his mate, I just want to see him do well. So I want to have some fun on the stage with him tomorrow. I'm sure he'll be scoring some goals. I don't want him to be grittying though, but he might.
He might do.
I'm not sure.
He might. We'll see. Now, one man that might have had a few gritties in his celebration, that was Jayden representing Brighton. Why is that? Well, on the other stream, stream B, this is all the action as it unfolded. Jayden scoring 8 in total. This one currently 6-2 up just here, taking on Billy Joe. I mean, Ryan, when it comes to Brighton, when it comes to this man right here, Jayden Groden, what do you make of his performance?
I think he's underrated. I think going forward, he's incredible. I've played against him multiple amounts of times beforehand. And I think he's somebody, in my opinion, that for the level that the Brighton duo are, I think, as we say, underdogs coming into it is no short for. Take a look at the results from round 2 of Group B. We saw Redlac 1-1 against Jay Brown, and we spoke about the 7-0 goal poacher up against Cameron Rock. And of course, Jayden winning 8-2 to Billy Joe. And yeah, of course, Mark Marley against Fisher didn't take place because of unfortunate circumstances.
Well, let's see how all of this affects the standings in Group B. Brighton at the top there. I mean, 9 points. They could run away with it. We'll see what happens coming up in their next fixtures. But Aston Villa in second on 5 points, Nottingham Forest on 4, Newcastle United on 3, and Sheffield United down at the bottom in 5th place. They've only got 1 point. Right, well, I mentioned that there's plenty more action to come. These round 3 fixtures, I mean, the table's always changing, and it will happen when you've got two consoles that you're playing on, 6 points per game. Those standings, they could change in the matter of one fixture.
100%, literally, it can be such a swing so quickly, and that's why you just got to stay on top of your game. Of course, it's only one leg as well, so you don't have that. You've really got to be playing at the top of your game every time.
Ryan, when you're looking at the standings just there, it's great to look at them after 2 rounds, but surely these players, they won't even be thinking about that. They'll just be thinking, get me to my next game, get me to the break if I've got one, let me just reset and go again.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking about breaks, Newcastle, 3 points. They had a break, so they've still got technically a game in hand. They're on 3 points, so they could easily, by the end of this, potentially be top or give themselves a good chance to finish top. So, as you mentioned, it's just sort of keeping in the mix and in the conversation until the final stages of this group.
Well, that segues us perfectly into our next fixtures for round 3 here in Group B. Let's take a look at them now. This is all of the fixtures that we've got coming up. Newcastle United taking on Sheffield United. Painter taking on Billy Joe in that one. Banks will get the 3-0 automatic win over Michael Fisher. And then on Stream B, Brighton taking on Nottingham Forest. Jayden Groden against Redlac. Marley against Goal Poacher. Not sure about you guys. I might have to get the other stream up here so I can watch it whilst I'm here at the desk.
I mean, honestly, them 4 players, them 2 teams are looking like, in my eyes, some of the favourites to get out of the group. That is some real tasty games there, to be honest. But Jayden scoring 8 there in that last game. I feel like Jayden's one of them players where when he gets going, he's like one of the top, like the very, very, very best.
Yeah.
Momentum coming into this. We've talked about mentality. We've talked about talent. We know you need both of those, but momentum either going for you or against you, Ryan.
Yeah.
When you're in the hot seat, how important is that momentum, making sure you're building on it?
It's very important, as we say, coming off of a victory so early on, especially if it's your first game, getting those 3 points or potentially 6 points if your teammate does the job as well is important, just to sort of propel you on in the latter stages of the group. And as I spoke about, just being in the conversation is very, very important in this tournament.
Shori, thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the background of all of our cameras just here, giving your advice and hopefully coaching Tom Lees to some wins tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Ryan, thank you for your input as always. So here on our main show, we are going to be featuring Newcastle United taking on Sheffield United. But remember, you can head to our B stream to see Brighton take on Nottingham Forest.
Well, it's time for round 3 here in Group B, and I mean a player that, obviously for unforeseen circumstances, is on his own in this one, Billy Joe. He's had a lot to do today as well in terms of the games, but he's put himself about in the best way possible. I mean, look aside of what happened in that last game against Brighton of Albion, the performance he put in against Aston Villa weren't bad, Rich, against Jay Brown. 2-3 goals down, scored in the last sort of minutes to get a 3-3 draw.
Absolutely, and I think he's handling, obviously, the unfortunate situation to the best of his ability. He really is. That other game on Group B, I've got to say, what a cracker. Brighton versus Forest. Two incredible, incredible players. But coming up on the main feed, as you can see, it's just underway right there. Newcastle United versus Sheffield United.
Yeah, great to see his teammate Banks there. Obviously, he hasn't got a game in this round, but he's there supporting his teammate. Ball forward. Newcastle did sit out in that last round. They'll be coming back fresh into this one, and we have a special guest in the commentary booth with us. Shorey, I mean, you're on the hosting desk. You thought, you know what, let's get involved in some commentary as well.
Hello, my friend. How are we doing?
We're good, we're good.
Seeing a bit of a spectacle here, I'm sure.
Well, it's an interesting group, this one, isn't it? I think you said rightly so on the desk. It's hard to call who's going to top it, but you have to look at the game on the B stream. That Nottingham Forest Brighton game will probably tell you the tale of which way this Group B is going to go.
100%. I think them two teams, you know, they've both got off to decent starts, put up some crazy numbers goals-wise as well, which early on in the tournament is exactly what you're looking for. So it's looking like between them two, but you never know. If you get some points, get some games together, anything can happen.
I'm a big fan of the Sheffield United with the double Ds, just to emphasise that we are united right now, even without Michael Fisher.
Here is Billy Joe, looking to open up. Here's a count, De Bruyne.
Nice.
Pushes that one a little bit too far. Second man press, tries to make it a bit easier. Goes for a corner. It's so good to see Painter still here.
Mate, honestly.
Give you hope that there's next year. Running back.
For you. One day, Buckley. Yeah, no, great to see. Great to see players who've been in the scene for so many years. Keep making the events and stuff. And it's also great to see all like the new faces as well. Yeah, there's just so much talent in this game at the moment. It's ridiculous.
I think I don't want to say when you used to be playing, but I will. The players who are coming up who are 16, 17, you're often like easy 3 points, easy win. Whereas now, they're some of the toughest games that you're going to probably face.
Mate, there's so many players who are putting in so many hours and grinding the game, doing really, really well. And yeah, you can't take anyone for granted now. Do you know what I mean? Even in the groups before, Tex obviously always came through, but you had a couple games of going, oh, that's an absolutely amazing near post finish there. No reaction at all as well. It's just chilling.
Billy Joe, 1 goal to the good, and there's the red of Sheffield United.
Buckley's buzzing.
I just think, to add on to your point, Shaw, I just think where there's obviously a lot more money on the line as well, £100,000 this tournament, plus those tournaments do pay out. E-Champions League, obviously the World Finals of the FC Pro Open. Of course, there's just going to be more competition, isn't there?
Absolutely. And but yeah, it sounds a little bit cliche. I think it is important in the groups to take it game by game, because I've had it in the past where you maybe are thinking about the next game a little bit too much and thinking you might have an easier opponent first, but there's no point thinking about that because everyone at this tournament is good enough to win games. So it's all about just focusing on the next one, as cliche as that is, ladies and gents.
I think you talk about sort of the quality and the talent of the players getting younger. I think Division Rivals was a real sort of start of that, where you can play online against people who are incredible at the game at any time during the day. The practice you can get is something that in previous years, 18, 19, just wasn't really that thing.
Yeah.
Whereas
100%.
now you've got 16-year-olds who've been playing since they were 13.
Yeah.
In the elite division against Tex, Anders, Ummer, and getting good results. So when they do turn 16, they're ready to go and they're ready to play. And that is exactly, I mean, you talk about ready to play. Billy Joe's come out the blocks here against Painter.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Some of the players, I can't believe how good they are, to be honest. And there's so many elements of this game now that you can add. Especially player locks. I feel like we're seeing that as a big thing this tournament. And I think going into the later rounds and especially the finals in March, we're going to see player locks be a big catalyst for players like the top players.
Well, also come March as well, we're going to have the quality of players on the pitch. The Team of the Year items that are now available in game, and we're going to see the midfielders and the defenders coming out. They're going to be involved, so that adds a completely different dimension. You might see people just playing for sort of crosses into Haaland because he's such a menace in the air. I imagine there's going to be more promos as well coming down further into those March finals. So even the way that we're seeing the game being played might be different from 8 weeks' time when we roll around for the Premier League finals.
How are we feeling about the double playstyle pluses on the Team of the Years? I think that could be a huge thing.
Well, I think they're just going to be like superhuman, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're causing all sorts of problems, and that's why they're worth so many coins. Luckily, these players actually have the beauty that they can use them in their team. Newcastle looking to build. 1-0 down at the moment. Painter finds himself 5 minutes away from the break. Has had a couple of spells where he's looked dangerous. He's able to find a way through that back line.
Speaking of Team of the Years, you managed to get your hands on it yet? You packed any?
Mate, I've not been on the game. I've not been on the game since it came out, but I've got all my coins stocked in the corner ready. Haaland on the wing here.
I have to say, just being not on the game didn't stop me.
No?
Coin pack, 700k.
You're messing.
Smith.
7 times.
Has he really?
Long goal forwards. It's Henry just round the goalkeeper. Simple ball roll. Had the time, had the composure. Billy Joe leads by 2-0.
Well played. I mean, that was just great composure when you go clean through on goal there, waiting for a little bit of keeper movement. I mean, to anyone at home, that is something, as you go clean through on goal, it's such a key thing to do. If you wait for a bit of keeper movement, sometimes it can be such a good thing.
It's a case of just waiting for your opponent to make the first move, isn't it? Next thing you know, ball roll, around you go.
Just saw him shuffle over. I mean, you see Painter on the screen there. I'm sure you've been in this position before where you feel as though maybe you're 1 goal down, but you're getting back into the game, you're having more possession, you're starting to build up attacks, and then out of nowhere, your opponent scores a second. It's got to be so deflating, right on half-time as well. We'll just see this attack come in from Billy Joe and Sheffield United. Good defending from Painter. Oh, it was good defending, but
gave it a good Gary Neville.
What's it like when you're in that game? You feel like you're getting back into it, and then out of nowhere you're 2-0 down, and the game's completely changed, and maybe even gone away from you.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it is potentially one of the worst feelings, but I think that's what in this game you have to take your chances, especially when you're at these big events, and it doesn't really matter. You could have as many chances as you want. 1-0 down, sorry, it doesn't matter. If you don't take your chances, then it's all on yourself, really.
And when would you? I mean, you're going to be a coach. You're going to be in there. If you were playing right now, if you're Painter, I can just see out the corner of my eye, he's making changes in the tactics. He's doing what he wants to do and probably going more aggressive. Is it half-time, trailing by 2 goals? Is it 60th minute? Like, do you have a sweet spot of this is where I'm going to make the changes now?
I think a sweet spot for me of sort of constant pressure would be sort of 65th, 70th minute. It's so important to get any points out of these kind of games. But at half-time, I think sometimes you have to just trust that, like, your game will sometimes come through eventually. I didn't we see, Brig before? He was 3-0 down in the 70th minute, came back to win 4-3.
Ridiculous.
Some of that could have been with a little bit of constant pressure, but sometimes on stage you're not playing well, and then you might just start feeling it all of a sudden, and then bish bash bosh, it's 4-3.
Bish, bash, bosh.
What do you reckon to that one?
I'm not sure it's going to stick.
Newcastle on the hump for more points on the board. Only 3 at the moment in their first round of matches.
Billy Joe, considering that first LAN event, coming out and just being 2-0 up in a game, chilling like this, like it's a really good performance. And Painter, he is not an easy player to play against. He's been renowned in the years. He's very consistent with his possession, and he's a good defensive player. And he's holding them out really well here, to be honest.
I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. He's a very solid 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like, if you play poorly, he beats you.
Yeah. 100%.
But he does have the capability to play at a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But we're not talking like, you're not going to see sort of a text level performance from him where he's elastic or reverse elastic or all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it almost perfected the basics.
100%.
And if you make a mistake, he will capitalise, and if he gets that lead, very, very rarely does he ever throw it away.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, he's the kind of player, you know, we've all experienced it, you know, on this game. You do not want to go 1-2 goals down to, but Billy Joe's done very, very well in being in this position.
Could be in for a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, that's a really good
Especially
goal.
off the back of an 8-2 defeat as well. Anyone could easily be shaken by that in their sort of first land event. He hasn't been.
100%, 100%. That kind of turn in the box, when you receive it and open up the body, and the opponent doesn't read it, it's such a good feeling. And a great driven pass there. I mean, driven passes, we know, literally one of the most meta things in this game for scoring. Well done, Billy Joe, 3-0 up.
3-0 he leads. Painter, unfortunately, looks like he's not going to be picking up any points anytime soon. Just looking across in the other games, that unbelievable matchup between Brighton of Albion and Nottingham Forest. It looks like Forest are on.
I'm just poking out to see the game, seeing what's happening.
I can tell you right now, Forest are on for 6 points. 3-2 in the PlayStation game and 1-0 the lead on the Xbox match so far. That's another game that's taking place on our B stream. You can catch all the live action from that now.
I'm sure there's a bit of favouritism for Spurs, but we've talked quite highly up Forest.
Yeah.
For me, I really think they could go all the way.
100%, 100%. Redlac last year really performed at the tournament, and when I speak to him backstage, it's like your quote, that is.
We'll catch up with the pros backstage.
Catch up with the pros backstage. But no, in all seriousness, he's really confident, but he's one of them confidence, like, he's not being cocky, it's like he's just confident in his game, which I respect.
It's exactly what we were talking about earlier.
And goal poacher as well. They just know they're good. He's just so consistently good. Like every time with him, I know I'm getting an 8 out of 9 out of 10 with goal poacher every single time. Yeah, really good. Attacking different kind of player, and that's like always refreshing to see.
I don't think it's like cocky or arrogant when you know that you're good. You just know that you're good.
Like, no, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything bad about that at all.
I think what you saw last year, especially for goal poacher, didn't win the tournament, but just the ripple effect of his performances. Did well in the Champions League, was still in that tournament, which is so hard to qualify for.
Well, it's the expectation. We talked about it earlier on today. Man City came in expecting to go top. I think there's a very, very similar sort of vibe with Forest. Like, they're expecting to top this group.
100%.
And if they don't, there will be disappointment. Something we maybe weren't expecting is Billy Joe coming out and potentially, even with the circumstances that Sheffield United are facing, they might not be bottom.
No. And, which are crazy circumstances, of course. No. But just putting on an absolute show here, to be fair. And I am seeing Didier Drogba on this pitch, which is an unexpected in the pro scene.
I believe there is 45 Premier League icons you can use. Obviously, we're only going to see a select few of them. Maybe Ferdinand's been drafted in a few times, but as a super sub, Didier Drogba, he's in.
That sounds like a TikTok idea. How many Premier League icons can we name?
45 is a lot.
That is a lot. I've probably got about 10 in the locker.
But there's been a few heroes today that we've seen for the first time, Rich, in the Premier League.
Beasley.
I didn't even know.
Get him in at left back, good coach that. Tom, have you looked at Beasley at left back? I think he's got a bit about him. Beasley, Foutre, Paulo Foutre. There's a few.
Company's one people.
Yeah, Big Vinny. Big Vinny comes.
Any potential super subs tomorrow you can tease us with?
You know what? Super subs with Tommy Boy. It's weird with Tom because he switches up his team a little bit. He switches up his team, but you know what? He has got a set team. But I don't want to give away too many secrets, Brandon. You know what I'm saying? Tom might have something secret in the locker. Me personally, I actually quite like subbing on centre backs, which I know sounds weird, but some players don't really like subbing on a centre back. But I like to do it.
Never change the defence. I learned that at Sunday League.
Really?
Your back four is your back four. Or if there's an injury, do they get subbed off?
To be fair, one thing we're seeing here, which is very, very, happens every year, is the Vieira centre-back job. Yeah. For some reason, no matter what his card stats say, he's the best. Drogba.
On for 4.
Oh, he was waiting for the keeper movement there, but Painter stayed near post.
He was trying to silence you there.
Literally, heard me about it.
We've seen corners play quite a big part here today, Brandon. It's Drogba who's been selected, but that one will play no part in the corner discussion.
The text corners earlier were absolutely
ridiculous.
Crazy.
The whip.
Crazy.
Oh.
Against Brad Colston.
Yeah. Just knuckleballing it straight over the top of the keeper. You're going to see that in chance.
Yeah. You know, I was watching the player cam of him and you could just see Brad was just there like, what can I actually possibly do about this? But you know Tex has been in the lab working on the corners, working on the fine details, which is always really important at these tournaments.
He's really trying to get Drogba a goal.
He's definitely heard what I said, by the way.
If he scores, we'll just stand up and shush over to the commentary.
Disappointing here for Painter. Newcastle will pick up 3 points from this series, as every team will.
There's some crazy games happening in the B stream, by the way. 4-4 on the PlayStation, 2-2 over on the Xbox. Forest first, Brighton.
Question for you, Shori, as sort of we're in the final dying moments of this game. People at home, they're playing, they might get a...
This is it.
Hold on, I'll wait that question. You might get your hands on a Haaland, whether it's the Beats one or maybe you might be looking at the Team of the Year Haaland, a Gold Haaland, whatever it is. A lot of people don't get on with him. In your expert opinion, for the people at home, if you're playing with Man City or you've got him in Ultimate Team, how do you get the best out of Erling Haaland?
Right. It's weird because I know what you mean. He's the kind of player where some people can say he feels like a truck up front and you can't do anything with him. Honestly, weirdly enough, I think he's the kind of player you could potentially put on the wing, which I know sounds bizarre, and just sprint down the wing with him, and he causes the problems. Drogba!
Went the wrong way!
No! Oh, well played. Crazy 4-0 win. But yeah, he's the kind of player, he can cause so many problems, and of course, when you kick it in the air to Haaland, he is an absolute...
No one's beating him, are they?
He's beaten Van Dijk to headers, which, you know, not a lot of players on this game can say.
Added time of 1 minute. Drogba is still after his goal.
Where's Drogba?
There he is. Play a lot. Unable to find him. He's just going to be a bit of a cameo instead. 4-0. Billy Joe leads. First win in a Sheffield United shirt, but he's had some mixy-matchy results today. Some big draws, 4 points out of a possible 9. As you said, there is a world where they might not be bottom of the table, Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing that's going to let him down is obviously every team getting a minimum 12 points from Michael Fisher. So can he get 12 points on his own? I think from the results, probably not. But a valiant effort individually, on an individual basis, it'll be really, really solid. If he can pick up 7, more than half out of 12, not only do you feel confident in your own performance today, but you're going into those knockouts feeling like, if my partner plays well, we might be able to do something here.
No, 100%. And, you know, he's almost got no pressure on him in that way. Like, he can just go out and enjoy the game. And, yeah, even after a tough first game, like, he's gone and put 4 past a really experienced player in Painter there. Like, all the power to him. That's absolutely amazing.
It's good reps for him as well, just to get on this stage under the lights, hear us commentating, speaking about Drogba and him being enough to come back to March and just being ready for it, because in past iterations of the ePremier League, you haven't really been able to have an extra sort of LAN, have you, to get used to it and get used to all the pressure that comes with it?
Well, I think that one of the big things, obviously, when you were competing and you attempted this year, unfortunately, didn't go your way, the difference from playing with your normal squads to playing with the restricted EPL squads is really quite vast. No R9, no sort of the real sort of meta icons that can make a difference. It's a bit more bare bones.
100%, and I think, you know, it shows the players who can adapt the quickest to the Premier League players. Like, it is actually genuinely a skill, because, like you said, there is such changes. Obviously, in you know, the main teams we're using in the different tournaments, there are some similar, there are Premier League players in them, but adjusting to all these Premier League players, it genuinely is a skill. It's something you have to get used to, especially with the forwards as well. I feel like the defenders are quite consistent in the Premier League. You've always got your Van Dijks, etc. But with the attackers, you are switching up your attack a lot of the time, so it's who can adjust to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So many icons as well to choose from, so many options. Shori, thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in action tomorrow as a coach for Tom Lees. For now, though, it's over to Casey, who's joined by Billy Joe of Sheffield United.
Yes, I am here with Billy Joe, which obviously you have been playing under some crazy circumstances today. Your teammate is not here, but despite that, you have had a massive 4-0 win. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels good after that 8-2 pumping what I just had not long ago. But yeah, 4-0, good.
Now we have one more round because you do have a break next time. Does that give you some motivation going into the last one?
Yeah, it does. But then again, I've just come into these games and just thought either way it's going to be uphill battle. So it's all like a friendly to me, just learning experience, just being here, yeah.
Well, I know despite you not having your partner here, you are definitely competing at high standards. So I wish you the best of luck in the next stages.
Give a shout out. Happy birthday to my brother, Big 30.
Happy birthday. All right, back to you guys.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, what an incredible performance from that man right there, Billy Joe, representing Sheffield United. You don't want to go anywhere, though. The action keeps on coming thick and fast, as I keep on saying. Plenty more EAFC 24 action coming up your way in the ePremier League 2024. We'll see you after this short break. What a round we've just had then. Sheffield United coming and making it for Billy Joe, making 4-0 against Painter. What a performance it was. But we've got huge matchups coming in. We're round number 4 already here in Group B. Time flies when you're having fun, and you've got plenty of EAFC 24 action happening. Leah, welcome to the desk. Bit of a height difference
I was just gonna say.
right now. Let's address it early on. You've not got the box that you normally
no box.
have. But it's okay. I'll step back a little bit.
I have to look up, but
we'll
it's fine.
make it
What's
work.
my next?
We've got some big games coming up, as we always do. But this next one, Brighton and Hove Albion taking on Aston Villa. On the Stream B before, you were across some of these. You had some big matchups, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mark Marley was one of them you were watching.
He was. So the last match was between Nottingham Forest and Brighton, Marley and Goal Poacher. Debatably, one of the best games in that last round. Two of the best players, obviously Goal Poacher, having won in 2022, and Marley, another very experienced player in the ePremier League, shared the points, but he was end-to-end, and from a technical perspective, the skill and the technical intelligence that we saw in that game really was definitive as to why one of them won the tournament a couple years back.
I mean, looking at this game and this matchup right here, I was so looking forward to it. I had Stream B open and I was trying to listen to you guys casting over all of this. I mean, plenty of goals. It does just show the standard we've got at this tournament, Leah.
Definitely, and I think we had touched on it a little bit before. With players, veterans, we would say, as those two, but also the new faces and the level of competitiveness and the stakes for, you know, the prize money, but also I think Billy Joe, for example, one of his goals in the ePremier League was to become an FC pro in the future. So tournaments like this one is exactly what's going to put his name on the board. Imagine a situation where it's a huge upset and they knock out one of the favorites that have either won the tournament before or were predicted to win the tournament this time. Stars can be made under the lights.
They definitely can, and hopefully some stars will be made here, the ePremier League. We've had so much action in Group B already. Anyone sticking out to you so far, Leah, as you're thinking, oh, they could be not just doing great here this weekend, but in the finals in March, they could go far?
Well, I think the obvious choices between Nottingham, Brighton, and Manchester City, of course, as expected. I casted over a stream with Jay Brown, and I think that he showed, especially for his age, to be here for the second year in ePremier League at 17 years old. It's insane, and the technical level that he has and the skill that he has. When I was 16, I was not competing at the top level in FC or anything for that matter.
That's something we can relate on there, Leo, definitely. Right, well,
we're showing our age.
We are. All that focus is on the future. Let's focus on the right here and now. Let's have a look at all our results from round 3. Newcastle United taking on Sheffield United. Painter losing 4-0 to Billy Joe on the Xbox, and then Banks gets the mandatory 3-0 win against Michael Fisher. So 3 points apiece for Sheffield United and Newcastle, and then Brighton and Hove Albion taking on Nottingham Forest. 2-2 and 4-4. Plenty of goals in that one, and all of those results affect the standings just like this. Brighton still at the top with 11 points. Nottingham Forest in joint second, looking at goal difference. Nottingham Forest actually in second on 6 points with Newcastle United. 5 points Aston Villa, and then in fifth with 4 points, minus 11 on the goal difference, Sheffield United. But looking ahead to the fixtures just now, Brighton and Hove Albion taking on Aston Villa, Jayden Groden taking on Jay Brown, and Mark Marley taking on Cameron Rock, and then it's Nottingham Forest taking on Newcastle. That one's on Stream B. Redlack against Painter, Goal Poacher against Banks. Right, well, our focus turns to Jayden taking on Jay Brown. A huge matchup just there. It's going to affect all the standings. Leah, looking at those two, if Brighton could win those 2 games, they could win the group just here and maybe, well, potentially knock Nottingham Forest out of it.
They could, and I think that's what's at stake here. That's what the most important aspect, I would say, of these rounds is to top the group, to be able to skip that knockout phase in March and go straight to the quarterfinals. So Brighton's going to want to look to do that, but Nottingham's going to want to maintain their spot at the top of the table.
Right, well, we've got plenty of action coming your way, and I cannot wait for it. Here on our main show, we're going to be featuring Brighton taking on Aston Villa. But if you head to Stream B, you'll be able to find Nottingham Forest as they take on Newcastle United.
Thank you very much, Carl. Yes, here we go. This group is actually starting to shape up a little bit now, Ryan, isn't it? As we already know, Brighton and Albion go into their last game. After that, they're done. They sit out for round 5.
Yep.
But there is only 5 points between second, third, and that top spot. And these 2 teams are the 2 teams that sit in second and third.
Yep, Nottingham Forest up against Newcastle. We're going to be focusing on Redlack up against Painter. As you say, there's huge implications for the result in this match. So, again, everything's up for grabs. We mentioned how Brighton, this is their last round in the group stage. So, as you say, going into round 5, their points will be finalised. You want to make sure, you're just still in that conversation to finish top spot. And, yeah, they need to win in this game.
And it was crazy how actually both those games were a draw. Nottingham Forest against Brighton. It was a great chance for Nottingham Forest to catch up to Brighton, or obviously to Brighton to run away. They sort of did the next best thing, which was draw and stop them from gaining an extra 4 points on them.
Yeah, and they were down in a situation. I believe Goal Poacher was up 4-2 against Marley, so Mark Marley brought that back to retrieve a point in that game, which, again, looking at the point standings was pivotal to do that.
Yeah, and speaking of Goal Poacher, 11 goals that would be he has scored so far in this tournament. He has really been a goal scorer, not a goal poacher. He goes into this one in our sort of off-game stream. We will be keeping an eye on the Xbox, as we said, with Painter in action there. Obviously, Banks takes on a very difficult Goal Poacher. We'll give you all the updates as soon as we can. Our A stream, as you said, Aston Villa against Brighton Hove Albion. If Villa can get some points off Brighton there,
yeah, that'll be.
and then one of these teams does like a 6-point thriller, it would be crazy.
Yeah, even it would still put Aston Villa in the conversation. Let's say if Nottingham Forest and Newcastle potentially draw against each other, it still puts Villa, Jay Brown and Cameron Rock, sorry, in the conversation to progress into directly into the quarterfinals if they finish top spot in this group.
Yeah, certainly. That is what we are waiting for. Waiting to kick these games off. We can see them in their kit selection as it stands right now. And we will be kicking off for round 4 here in Group B. Still one more round to conclude after this one from day 1 of the Premier League. Man City run away with it in Group 1, but this Group B has been unpredictable as we expected.
Yeah, a lot closer, as you said, as we expected. I think the groups and the level of the playing field amongst the competitors on either console, I think is a lot closer than in Group A. We're going to be kicking off, as we mentioned, Painter representing Newcastle on Xbox up against Redlac representing Nottingham Forest, kicking from left to right. I spoke to Painter Brandon at the start of the day, and I asked him what his confidence levels were like. Rock bottom. Genuinely.
What, before a ball was kicked?
Before a ball was kicked, and here he is about to concede a minute in.
He was about to curse it then, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he says he hasn't had time to practice. He's now working a full-time job. So for him coming into it, it's more so that he's coming not with any expectation on his shoulders, and it's just sort of just biding his time and just seeing what happens.
I think if anything, as we said, this event has always been about getting that top spot, but more importantly, there is no elimination process here at all. So for Painter, it could be for him a bit of a reality check of what he needs to do coming into March.
Yeah, exactly. And Painter's shown in previous years that he can compete with the best. He's had some accolades in the past, but there were a number of years ago as this Trevella is set up off the crossbar there from Redlac.
And these are just the little things that naturally where Painter might not have been putting in as many hours. You know, how is his sort of mechanical play? The Trevellas, the skill moves. We haven't seen a great deal of that in the final third. It's been a bit more traditional.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, with the goalkeeper movement, he didn't move the goalkeeper. That's something that I think is pretty much a certainty in order to prevent Trevellas going in the back of the net. So maybe sometimes when you don't have that regular pattern of competing or playing competitive games, you can find those moments of your mechanical instincts in games falling asleep.
Here's Haaland once again winning another header. Goalless in the first 12 minutes.
I think Painter will be devastated. That previous result in the round before against Sheffield United, that was to me, it was a shock result. I'll be honest. I know Billy Joe has been performing relatively well today.
He's had a mixed bag of results,
yeah,
hasn't he? He got a 3-3 against Jay Brown. He lost 8-2 to Jaden Groden, then goes and wins 4-0 against Painter.
Yeah, I think in the first game, he's shown that he has what it takes to go forward and score when it mattered most. But again, getting battered in round 2 and then managing to win resoundingly against Newcastle in the next round is, yeah, as you say, a mixed bag of results.
This could be a chance. Ginola's got the legs to pull away from 1 or 2 Newcastle defenders. Still Ginola.
Thought he was going to go for the cutback. Haaland there was providing an option. It's going to be a corner there from Redlac's Nottingham Forest.
Watch out, he's going to go for goal.
No, Haaland back post. He's learnt his lesson. He's been watching Tex.
There it is. On his own! And very nearly didn't even need Haaland there. I don't know what this corner is, but it keeps on causing problems.
Yeah, the outside of the boot. Corner kicks. Of course, the main way, or the traditional way, I should say, of taking corner kicks this year in FC Pro. Players have been whipping it to the near post. But that one at the back post, and potentially even going for goal, is causing a lot of threat for players in this competition. Good triggered run there for Kyle Walker. Take a look at Haaland back post. There seems to be a mismatch. If you can get it there.
Ginola, there's one more pass. Has to score. Salah, he jumps over the oncoming Schmeichel. Able to find a way through. I just think, especially for those that are watching at home as well, if you do jump into a game of Ultimate Team and you see your opponent moving the goalkeeper way off his line from a corner, you've got to go for it.
Yeah, it's another option.
Redlac, the aggressive press, has made this very difficult for Painter so far. Does enough there with De Bruyne just to take the sting out of the possession hold of Nottingham Forest.
I think one of the hardest things about playing against somebody like Painter is that irrespective of how many hours they put in, they have a set play style. and Painter's one is to resort to keeping possession. So if you're progressing later on in the game and it's still goalless or you're losing by a couple goals, it's going to be tough to get possession back. So I think for Redlac, he'll be aware of that. He just needs to keep calm, keep composed. And if the chances fall his way, he needs to be clinical.
I think Richard said that in the best way possible. You know, mechanically might not be there with all the skill moves, but the fundamentals are there.
Yeah, of course.
And he'll happily frustrate you. Whether that means keeping possession, as you've just rightly said, or using one of the most effective things, just a massive switch of play from left to right to open up the pitch. There's a huge bit of space for Kyle Walker, who's got the legs to get that ball into the box. There's a player lock. Teased, Haaland's there in the air. Is it going to trickle in? It will. Well, he can't argue it hasn't been coming. But of all the ways to score, I didn't maybe think the Haaland would have been just tapping that one in.
Leaps over Van Dijk in game. That is a statement, genuinely, because
no one does that, do they?
Nobody does that. So it just shows the endless capabilities of finding the back of the net with Erling Haaland. You can do it on the ground, pace in behind, you can cross it, you can finish it one-on-one, and it gives Nottingham Forest and Redlac the 1-goal lead against Newcastle's Painter.
You know what that means as well, Ryan? When we get to March, it's going to be Team of the Year, Haaland, against Team of the Year, Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, nightmare.
To see who's going to win that headed battle. As we said, if you want to catch the action from Stream 8, Brighton of Albion against Aston Villa, you can watch that live now. Bringing you all the action from Group B here in the ePremier League. Trying to find the team that's going to top this group, go straight into the quarterfinals of this competition in March. Alongside that, guarantee themselves £5,000 in the process of the 100k pot available. Last attack potentially of half-time. Redlac happy just to go at his own pace, really. Before needing to build into the last attack as the added time does come in. Great turn there. Ginola peels away Hullet. Just joins the attack. Not unnecessarily be used, more of a dummy. There's Haaland with a flick on.
Ooh, the idea is correct. Just to flick on there, it's just Salah didn't get in front of Reece James. We're going to half-time, Brandon. 1-goal lead Nottingham Forest have over Newcastle. I think it's a fair end to the first half, in my opinion.
I think if we sit here, we can't really call many chances that Newcastle had.
None.
Can we?
But genuinely, I would love to see the statistics. I don't believe there was even a shot on goal. Yeah, there hasn't been too many. We kickstart the second half straight away.
1-0 still. Over on this side of the console. Keep in mind the goal poachers in action on PlayStation.
Great ball.
Against Banks. Both these two teams looking to top the group. I don't know where Kyeomin Son was looking for from that cross. It was completely wide off the mark. For Painter, he has to create. Otherwise, he is going to be without a win here in the Premier League. Hullet. Haaland's really in there. He was just queuing up at the back of the box. On the edge, I should say, just unable to really offer anything to Henry there. For Redlac, though, he's just been able to play at his own pace.
Yeah, exactly, and he's done really well there. Calm and composed. Commentator's cursor anticipated him retrieving or keeping possession. He's potentially had a chance. Good defending. Could have been a mistake there if the pass was intercepted, and now it's Painter's chance to go forward, trying to turn defence to attack with that ball over the top.
Massive switch of play. There's Havertz on side. He is just about all the way from left back. Haaland gets round the defender. He needs an option in the box, really, unless he can go on his own.
He could have gone. He's playing it back there. Mo
Maybe
Salah.
there was a little Lacriqueta into the...
He 100% could have gone for goal there. And I think, as we say, that's the lack of practicing from Painter there, in my opinion.
Still only 1 goal. two minds there, Redlap, whether to go on his own with a shot. But the angle just looked way too tight. I thought Van der Sar. Sar pulled that one off and very nearly put Mohamed Salah through. You can see the target man now, it's all going through Haaland. Huge switch of play available. Can you look for it on the far side of your screen? David Ginola's waiting for it if he needs to use the ongoing runner, Hullet.
Thought that's a bit hasty there from Redlap, dragging players out of position when he didn't need to. It's a corner, played short.
That post.
There's no one in support. He has to recycle possession. He's playing it to the edge. He's just looking for the perfect angles. When sometimes, as you say, the back post cross is on if he's able to take a gamble, as Redlap does in this situation. It falls straight into the goalkeeper's hands.
There is another game taking place.
A reminder, the food stands will be open after the game.
The opposite console. Remember that the food stands will be open after the game, Ryan, if you
need it now.
It's been a lot of games today, hasn't it?
Triggered run there. He's going to play it. He's used it as a decoy. And that switch of play, it's been intercepted. It's now Painter's turn to try and find an attack. Last 15 minutes to try and find an equaliser. We haven't seen anything from Painter to suggest that a goal will fall in his favour. But in FC 24, anything is possible.
Let's jump over if we can. 1-0 here. What's happening over on the PlayStation? I mean, nothing's changed here, right? Other than Goal Poacher is still scoring goals.
Yep, he's leading 2-1 against Banks. We might have came in at a perfect time. Fortunate rebound there. Goal Poacher still in possession, trying to find the angles and the space. Just recycling possession. Last 12 minutes in this game as well. Look at the triggered run back post to Van Dijk there. I think that's what he attempted to do. Didn't put enough power in it. Good flick on.
There's a one more pass.
Oh, he's gone for it. There's good interception there. Perfectly timed there from Vieira and Goal Poacher to prevent an almost certain goal or attempt at goal. We've got the last moments now. A pause cued by AP Banks just to try and see if he can retrieve something from this game.
To be honest, hasn't had a bad out. This is game 3 of the night for him, Ryan. He won his first game 1-0 against Mark Marley, the veteran of the ePremier League, in the last kick of the game. They've got obviously the auto win against Sheffield United. If he can snatch a draw from this one, he would be unbeaten again. First time in the ePremier League.
Yep, and it'd be an incredible accomplishment to do that. And it will still put him and Newcastle within a potential fighting chance. Could be a mistake.
Don't do that. I mean, it's Vieira, which doesn't help you much, does it? You can appreciate the press from the defender, but it's not offering much. He's just trying to see this one out, Goal Poacher. As it currently stands, it would be 6 points on the boards, and it would put loads of pressure on Brighton of Albion in the top spot at a time of 1 minute.
It's not going to be any chance.
And he's really held on to that one, hasn't he? Well, Goal Poacher will win the game 2-1. Let's go back to the Xbox to conclude that one. 5 minutes away from half-time.
Going to trigger the left back there. You can see Kai Havertz, a brilliant reverse pass.
Painter! He doesn't need all the chances in the world, Ryan. He just needs one.
That is the problem Painter has when you play against him. I played against him in the ePremier League before as well. He's somebody that is very happy to keep possession. for the whole game. 0 shots until the last moment, and he catches you off guard. And to be honest, that reverse pass was, in my opinion, one of the goals of the day, because I didn't see it coming. I thought that pass out to Havertz for the cross-back post was the open and the most obvious attempt at goal, but he's played a cheeky pass in and found the back of the net.
He really has, hasn't he? Big goal for Painter, who somehow might have snatched a point out of this one for Redlac. I'll be thinking, how have you got a point out of this one? I've been able to create like sort of 8, 9, 10 chances. Painter just needs one. Just one, and as we say, that is how it goes sometimes. There's still time left, of course, the kickoff for Redlac and Nottingham Forest to try and retain, or get back, sorry, that lead in the game. But as it stands, 1-1 points will be shared. Yeah, I mean, that could be a bit of a killer for Forest on their route to try and top the table, especially Brighton of Albion currently winning in their games against Aston Villa right now. It could be enough for the Seagulls to find the top spot. We are still in a pause at the moment between these two players. Only 4 minutes away from the end of the game. The reason we jumped from a pause, we don't want to give away any of the tactics of these players. In the dying moments, I mean, who do you think's making the changes here? Do you think it's just Redlac going for it?
Definitely Redlac. Redlac will be fuming. I know how he is. He'll be thinking that he's created a lion's share of chances in this game. He's conceded in the dying moments to potentially, well, we didn't get to see a portion of the game, but maybe his Painter's first clear-cut opportunity. So, again, it's something that he would try and he will know, in order for them to top the group, he has to win this game. So he's going to throw everything at it.
He has to, isn't he? You've got subs on the bench, some really good options as well, Premier League options in these teams. Forest, as we know, throw-in players on the... Because Redlac knows he has to go how important the 6 point of this is.
Yeah, exactly, as you said. With the deficit before the game, I believe it was a 5-point swing. So if Brighton win both of their games, the only way for Forest to top it is if they match that as well by winning both.
So they can't drop points.
They can't drop points. They have to win the game, so he knows he has to go for it.
Yeah, and after that one, as you said, they will go on to play against Sheffield United, which means they've already guaranteed 3 points in that game.
Wow.
So it's a one and done. That's why it means so much more these last few minutes.
Wow, when you put it that way.
Well, we've got full times in Stream 8. I'll give you the lowdown after this one has concluded. Forest on the hunt for maximum points, if the chance will prevail. Well, if Painter going to give you the Painter treatment and go and win 2-1.
Yeah,
do you imagine?
Oh my goodness, he could actually...
He's going to do this because he's going to be going... He's got numbers forward, hasn't he? This would be heartbreak for Nottingham Forest, who are on the run to get top spot. Newcastle looking for their first win on the Xbox side of things. Added time is done. It's 2 points dropped for Nottingham Forest. And that could really shake things up in the group, depending on the results of Brighton of Albion. Brighton might already be there.
Yeah,
Brighton might be top.
Yeah, that could have been enough to see them secure top spot in that game. Again, there wasn't too much to separate either player in terms of the scoreline, but with the chances created, you'd expect Nottingham Forest to have won. But for Newcastle fans and for Painter fans, he's done enough to get a point from that game. We're able to take a look at the highlights between this. This was the direct corner you predicted happening, and this was the goal. Harden getting on the end of it, going past the goalkeeper who already committed himself. This was a chance for me. If he had taken a shot at goal there, or Lacroquette cancel into a shot, I think it would have led to the second goal. And this was the intricate little reverse pass from Painter to equalise.
Yeah, and his one shot. An only shot, I think, of the game. Look, if you could perfect the one shot, it doesn't really matter in the end, does it? Newcastle fans, I don't think you will be topping the group, unfortunately, today, but you will still be in the hunt for the Premier League back in March. We're off for a quick break. Now, when we're back, it's time for round 5 of the action, and we find out who will top Group B. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Premier League 2024. The action has been underway for hours here, but this is one of our key moments from the previous rounds. Looking at this just here, Brighton. I mean, what a performance from these players just here. It's been absolutely outstanding, let's just say, from here. Now we can have a look at all of our standings and how everything currently looks in Group B. I mean, what a performance, as I was just mentioning, from Brighton just there. And I'm joined by this man, Grav. You've been talking over some of the games today. Let's talk about some of the results and what we've seen so far. I mean, anyone jumping out to you? Anyone that you're enjoying seeing today?
I mean, Jadon has been amazing to see because I do think he's playing at his best level. I did train with him a couple of times back at home, so I know how his press and also the player logs, it can be overwhelming in a way. And I do think in some of his matches, it was just overwhelming for their opponents, especially, I would say, the match against Nottingham Forest. That's the whole thing, because they were picking up wins against other opponents, and then when they were playing against probably the ones who they're matching up for that first spot, they just draw. But the thing is, they were losing 2-4, especially Marley in that game against Goal Poacher. He was losing 2-4. He managed to grab the draw at the end, and I think they're pretty much the best team in Group B up to this moment, and I mean, the table stands.
Well, as the table stands, we can currently look at how it does stand right here. Brighton at the top of it, 17 points. They cannot be caught now because in the next matchup, only 6 points are available. So they are Group B winners, let's just say. And then Nottingham Forest in second, they're on 10 points. Newcastle United on 7, Aston Villa on 5, Sheffield United on 4 just there. I mean, Brighton have ran away with it. Upset? Shock? People were saying that Nottingham Forest, they'd be the Group B winners, Grav.
I wouldn't say upset, because it wasn't as clear as it was in Group A for Man City to top the group. I wouldn't say upset, but I think it's surprising, yeah, because I would have said Nottingham for sure was the favorite to top the group. But, I mean, Brighton were on fire today, so props to them, because it doesn't matter what we say about predictions and stuff. What matters is what happens here, and they were the best team today.
Right, well, here's our fixtures for our 5th and final round in Group B. Sheffield United taking on Nottingham Forest, Billy Joe taking on Redlac, and then Michael Fisher against Goal Poacher. That one won't be happening due to unforeseen circumstances. Last minute, Michael Fisher has had to pull out of this weekend, which means that Goal Poacher and Nottingham Forest will get an automatic 3-0 win due to how the standings look and due to our rules that we do have. We will hope that definitely we will be able to see Michael Fisher coming up soon in March in our ePremier League finals. Yeah, we definitely hope we can see him there. And then that next matchup, you saw just below, round number 5, Aston Villa taking on Newcastle United. I mean, again, we've got youngsters taking on players that have got experience, Grav. As a man that's got plenty of experience himself, these youngsters, you were talking about it before when I was listening to you, they just play differently, don't they?
This is a different game style. I mean, you see the way Painter plays with the lofted through balls, with the possession, with the way he takes the game on a different level. But then these youngsters, I think they're just mechanically gifted. And the skill in those 1v1 situations is just out of this world. So for me, having the chance to see a pro player who is now 25, 6, 7, whatever, playing against an 18, 19-year-old kid, I think it's fairly interesting because you can see different styles matching up against each other. And I think that's what makes the game interesting. Like, if you jump on here and everyone plays the same, I don't think it's interesting. But when you see styles matching up against each other, I think that's where magic happens.
Well, that's where the magic happens, and our viewers are certainly in for a treat as it's time for the final round of fixtures in Group B. Stick with us on Stream A for Aston Villa, the youngsters taking on the experienced Newcastle, or on Stream B, Sheffield United as they face up against Nottingham Forest.
Well, it is time for round 5 in Group B now. We know who is going to be topping the group, and it's great to see, as a Brighton fan, Brighton of Albion doing very well in this tournament with that duo as well, because they were grouped a couple of years back. It was too many draws. That hasn't been the case today. There was a few draws sprinkled in there, but 17 points on the board out of a maximum 24.
Correct.
Not bad, is it?
No, really good. And I think for Brighton as well, the level of performance has been very steady. They've maintained that sort of, there's not really been any dips, they've not suffered huge defeats, they've not looked poor in any game. So I think that will be also a big confidence that the consistency is starting to get there as well. Unfortunately, two teams who consistency is sort of not been in their repertoire. Newcastle United and Aston Villa to end day 1 here of the ePremier League group stage standings.
I think it's just a good.
What do you want to see more from Newcastle?
I want to see Painter have some more shots. I watched him in the B room just a second ago. Fair play to him. Up against Redlac, who was... He put in about 10 chances in the game, Richard. Painter had 1 shot, drew the game 1-1.
That's what he does.
But that's what he does.
It is.
That is what he does. I think what also this game will give us is an opportunity to celebrate some of the new talent coming through as well. Banks, first time in the ePremier League. Jay Brown, only 17 years of age. It's his 2nd year back-to-back in a row in these finals.
Do you want a funny Painter story? Well, a funny remark. I was talking to him just backstage, and he goes, yeah, look, I've got like full-time job. I've not really been playing too much. I've qualified for this. I'm like, oh, did you play Champs at the weekend? He was like, yeah, I played full Champs. I got 13 wins. 13.
Did you play the others, or was that?
No, 13 and 7. I'm pretty sure. But he's here, and that's all that matters.
He has. And he's...
That also shows anybody at home who's playing FUT Champions and you're thinking, oh, I got ranked 4 and I got ranked 3. If you can really sort of grind those results out, slowly get better, work your way up in division rivals, this stage isn't that far away. I think we see it for a lot of people who are younger, especially in the domestic leagues, the ePremier League. Anybody across the UK can enter. You can enter for your club, you can play the club playoffs, you can play the online qualifiers, you can play the last chance qualifiers, and you can get in there.
And you can shake things up as well. I mean, sure, he won't want to say it. He was meant to be going for Luton Town this year, lost in the qualification. Stokes, last year's champion, didn't qualify it. There are new names coming through, but also to get your spot back, it is difficult. Cameron Rock kicking from left to right for Aston Villa, hasn't had the best day in the office. And I think it's hard to pick yourself up when you lose 7-0. I mean, that's the honest truth. Couldn't play the first game, had to sit out and wait for that one. And by the time he was ready to go, he had to play against Goal Poacher, which was a really difficult game. Newcastle United, though, Banks, I tell you what, has not been too bad today. You can't really... If you look at his performances, Rich, 1-0 win against Mark Marley, 90th minute. So he got the 3 win against Sheffield United. There's a 1 more pass for Cameron Rock, defended well. Lost 2-1 to Goal Poacher. I mean, it was like last kick of the game, he needed a really good chance. And now this game here, put on a decent outing in the first time in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's got a lot to be proud of, and he's going to come back as well, feeling quite confident at the end of March. When we do go into those knockouts, he's got nothing to be scared of. He knows he can compete with the very best players. And this is sort of especially for the competitors, it's their first event, their first LAN. The finals, the one that really matters, isn't. So you've already got that nerves out your system. You're going into a finals feeling really good.
Well played, Cameron Rock.
We've just not seen enough from Cameron Rock today of that quality. We know he's got it. We've seen it this season. We've not seen it here, though.
Perfect chance there, just worked and reworked until it became a 100% chance of scoring. Newcastle for an instant reply. Banks edge of the box with Rodri. He's not going to be the person to take the shot for you. Big switch of play available. Tevez. Ginola, Villa on for a second. Lovely reverse elastico. Still Ginola. Keep in mind there is one more game taking place on the B Stream. Nottingham Forest in action, Redlac against Sheffield United's Billy Joe.
Sheffield United actually leading 2-1.
Again, another good player that's just put on a performance today. There's the one more pass, got a score, surely Ginola will. And from what we've seen from Banks, he has been really impressive.
There's a lot to be proud of. I just said it before. You build on what you've done well, you try and eliminate what you've done poorly, you come into the knockouts feeling really good about yourself.
Willian finds Tevez, Ginola.
I think for Cameron Rock, obviously we know the game's there, we know the ability's there. Do you just chalk it up as it's just been a bad day?
Well, let's quickly check into the other game, Richard. We'll hold that thought for a minute. This is Jay Brown up against Painter on the Xbox, and it is Jay Brown that leads. I mean, these performances are great from Villa, but they're just coming too late in the day. Could be on the way for an equaliser here. Rodri, oh, that's a clever pass. Banks, oh, the idea was superb. Omri went for the header, probably should have looked to try and get a volley on it. Keep an eye on Willie on the far-hand side of your screen. He's got acres. He can drive Impton if he needs to, Rashford. Cameron Rock trying to manoeuvre the perfect pocket of space. One of the few players that has actually backed Carlos Tevez from the word go.
I do like that Carlos Tevez pick-up. I know we've seen him introduced into Ultimate Team, what, just around November time, I think it was.
And no Haaland for Cameron Rock. He hasn't sort of followed that agenda.
But Haaland, I don't think, suits him. You've seen the goals he's scoring, quite intricate on the floor, the reverse elasticos, the five-star skill has been pivotal.
He's not really a crosser, is he? Or
and Tevez gives you that with a five-star skill move, so...
I mean, this is what he's all about, isn't he? You saw there little quick turns, pockets of space. Trivela was green there from De Bruyne. There wasn't a body in the way. That could have been dangerous.
In the one remaining game outside of this Villa-Newcastle tie, Sheffield United...
There it is again.
Ooh, still leading against Nottingham Forest, 2-1. So that'd be 7 individual points for Billy Joe. You take that.
Not
7 out of 12,
is it?
More than half. You think that your teammate's going to pick up 7 points as well? That puts you on 14, theoretically.
That's
probably second in the league. So there's a lot of individual performances to be proud of. As a team, a lot of these clubs just haven't been able to put results together.
Yeah.
You have a great individual performance in one game, and then you might go and get a draw or get a loss in the next game. What Brighton did, what Man City did, who were both top of their representative groups, built. You got a draw, then you got a win, then you got another win. There was a relaxation period. Doing a Melson Chelsea as well, because I thought they were really impressive earlier today. Conkai and Sharp.
I think there's been obviously clear to see some really good performances individually and in teams, but this is very much, as you said, it's a team game, although they're playing individually. You know, even if you're not squeezing wins, just the extra point or two of a draw. been the big difference maker for a lot of these teams.
What it does for tomorrow's Group C and Group D action, it sort of sets the benchmark of how many points you sort of need to be looking at topping the group. I think minimum is probably what we've seen today, 17, maybe 16 if teams are beating each other. 2/3 of the total points up for grabs you're taking. I think that's quite a realistic aim if you are wanting to finish top of the table in your respective group and guarantee a quarter-final.
There's the one more pass. Won it back nicely. Tevez somehow misses. I'm not sure how. It looked like it was harder to score.
What a ping. What a ping.
Kai Havertz from left back. Where's his option? There it is. There's the one more. Save with the fee. And again. Van der Sar didn't really know anything about that one.
Could have gone anywhere.
He sort of just ran into it, didn't he?
I thought we were going to roll under him for a second.
De Bruyne. Thought for a second there could have been a Trivela. There still could be. The angle not quite right.
That's what he's looking for.
Cameron Rock still in the lead, 2-1. Down the byline, such a dangerous area. It's an own goal from Vieira.
Really
tried to stop it, didn't he?
It's just bounced off him. I don't think there's any input there from Banks whatsoever. It's really unfortunate, and you have that chance at one end, the luck doesn't go with you. Down the other end, Vieira puts it in your own net and you score an own goal. It's sometimes the small margins of FC just don't fall with you, and Cameron Rock's looking to add a fourth.
He's had a rocky set of games today. This is a nice win. Still with 20 in-game minutes left to be played. If he scores now, he's made to play back, and De Bruyne in an Aston Villa shirt was just about there. Watch the back post now. He wants to look for it.
Trivela.
De Bruyne in, just wide from Rashford. Into the pause we go.
The other match in a pause as well at this moment. Between Painter and Jay Brown.
And the score on the other game, 2-2 still. Sheffield United against Nottingham Forest. You can watch that live now on our B stream here from the ePremier League. As we said, day one is pretty much confirmed. And Manchester City are going straight through to the final 8. And Brighton and Albion are also joining them there.
Just have another look at this. The goal that made it 3-1 for Aston Villa. Vieira, he's been locked onto it. It's a real shame. It really is. I mean, the build-up play was nice. It probably warranted a goal. He's put it in a really dangerous area underneath the crossbar. But if you Banks, you're probably thinking, this game could have been 2-2. And now I'm 3-1 down with 15 minutes left to play.
Smallest of margins just not going his way. Back underway for this one now, final 15 minutes. As Reece James will look to try and queue up Erling Haaland. Well, let's go to the other game for a split second now. This one is a bit more tighter as Painter just gets pushed off the ball there. This is Jay Brown.
He's thrown numbers forward.
Maybe looking to conclude the game at 2-0. Havertz. Where's the one more? Does he need it? Rashford, great feed. Jay Brown building nicely. De Bruyne. It's a great drop of the shoulder from his original step-overs, but Schmeichel matched it well. Another pause comes in from Aston Villa. Painter's got to go for this one really now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that pause is going to come in or not with the amount of time that's left. Unless he puts him into touch here with a big slide tackle. Where did that go? Wow. I thought that were a foul.
Watch the far hand side of your screen, or William might go on his own. He will go all the way on his own. Added time of 1 minute. Looks like Aston Villa are going to end the day with 3 points over on the Xbox. Unfortunately, won't be enough to top the group for them, but a positive way to end the day. Let's jump back across if we can to conclude the Xbox. Sorry, the PlayStation side of things. That's Xbox done. Painter, unfortunately, unable to find a win today for Newcastle, but it looks like it will be 6 points from 6.
It's a solid way to end. You're building confidence going into the knockouts. Watch this game, replicate this in the knockouts, not what happened previously in the tournament. That's a 4th. That's Cameron Rock ending today in fine form. Just having a little glance over, 3-3. The scoreline between Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest, and that is full time in that match as well. So the final game for day 1 of the ePremier League groups looks to be right here.
Done and dusted. 10 teams have played. Tomorrow 10 more will be in action. And we know that Brighton of Albion and Man City will be in the top 8 guaranteed before a ball has been kicked in March. £5,000 guaranteed, but I think a lot of lessons and a lot of learnings from today for those 8 remaining teams. Obviously have to go the long way around.
Absolutely. You're starting in the first round of the knockout bracket. You've got a lot of matches ahead of you that you've got to try and win to progress up and look towards the Premier League semi-finals and maybe even a grand final. But it's got to start somewhere, and it's going to start for everybody in this group other than Brighton in round 1. Disappointment, obviously, for a number of our competitors, not being able to catch Brighton going into the last round. However, there will be positives, there will be things that you can build upon, there will be fundamentals that you can look, and for the people who maybe have not competed in a long time at LAN or have never had the opportunity to play in a studio like this, you get those jitters out the way, you get those nerves out the way, and you can look with confidence and a real sort of belief ahead to March, not with nerves, which you might have had coming into this weekend.
And also, I think, you know, players that naturally have other responsibilities other than competing can know, right, I need to put a bit more time into this, get this mechanical side of my game done, and also just to get used to some of the items as well, because you don't play with them every day, you just don't.
Yeah, I imagine there might be a few of these players here this evening, Premier League players. We'll have to wait and see, but it's been a great day, Brandon. It really has.
Indeed. Lots of games have been commentated on, but now it's time to go to a quick break before we end today's action here at the Premier League Day 1. Remember, we're back tomorrow and Day 2. We're off to a quick break, and then we're picking up from the host desk.
Well, what a day it's been. We've got to the end of our action here. We've had Group A and Group B, and we've got plenty to discuss just here. We can have a look at our results, though, from round number 5 in Group B. Sheffield United against Nottingham Forest. Billy Joe 3, Redlack 3, and it is Goal Poacher who gets that mandatory 3-0 win over Michael Fisher. And then Aston Villa against Newcastle. Jay Brown 1, Painter 0 in the Xbox, and it was Cameron Rock scoring 4 against Banks, who only managed to score 1. And this is how that affects the standings in Group B. Brighton, they'd already won the group with 17 points heading into round number 5. They top the table. And it's Nottingham Forest who will be kicking themselves on 14 points at the end of today. Aston Villa, bottom of the table on 5 points. Right, well, I'm joined by Ryan Pessoa, Leah Ravel and Gravison right here to be able to dissect all of that action. The main talking point I've got to take from looking at the standings just there, Nottingham Forest in second. Ryan, I said they'll be kicking themselves. That's because points slip time and time again today.
Yeah, I think the key game for them in terms of the flipping was against Newcastle. I think Redlack against Painter, winning for the majority of the game, conceding in the last 5 minutes or so against arguably, potentially, Newcastle's only chance of the game, sort of cemented them to not be able to qualify coming into the last round. So I think for them, they'll be devastated on that.
Leah, when you look at what Brighton have managed to do going into that round number 5, they were relaxed. They knew they'd already topped the table just there. I asked the question to Grav before, maybe not a shock, but a surprise that we're seeing them at the top of the table when we all thought Nottingham Forest would be up there.
I think, like Ryan mentioned, unfortunate for Nottingham to drop, but we expected, maybe, predicted perhaps, that it would be one of Brighton or Nottingham in that top spot. So a good round 4 it was for Brighton, and an unfortunate round 4 it was for Nottingham.
And Grav, it just shows that anything can happen for the ePremier League, but one of the themes that we've seen today, late goals conceded, we've seen it time and time again over the years that we've been covering all of this e-sport, but today it was prevalent. Nottingham Forest, those late goals, pretty much that's the reason why they're not top of the table. They're not going into that finals day when it comes to the finals in March.
Yeah, I think we could be a little aggressive with them and said that they dropped many points, but I want to turn it to another vision. They have to learn from this because they are playing in March and they have to go through. So, I mean, this is a huge part for them to understand what went wrong. And I think, in my opinion, I commentated a lot of their games, and I do think both of them, it happened to Goal Poacher and Redlack as well, when they were leading the games, they weren't keeping the ball, they were attacking a little bit too much. And I do think if you want to be championship material, which I guess everyone here want to be, you have to be offensively good, you have to be defensively good as well, but you have to keep the ball as well. Yeah, so I think that's what lacked Nottingham today, but I'm sure if they learn from today, which I think they will, they'll be in the finals for sure.
And we'll try and remain positive on this, even though we are seeing these late-minute goals that meant that they didn't get all 3 points at times. They were just drawing games. Ryan, plenty for them to learn from, and if there's 2 players that can do that, it's those Nottingham Forest boys.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, you've got a player that's won the Premier League before, so he has the know-how on how to progress into the latter stages of this event. But as you said, for them, they'd definitely be disappointed with some of the games that they gave up. You mentioned how giving up leads late on, and also maybe not performing to the standard in terms of being disciplined, resorting to game management, not being afraid to keep possession. I think that's what they were doing today. They just felt as if they needed to go forward when they're up by 2, and they just really didn't.
Well, that's all of your views. Let's get to 2 people who've been casting majority of our games today. It's nice to see the duo back together. Richard Buckley, Brandon Smith, what have you made of today's performances, especially Brighton at the top and Nottingham Forest in second?
Well, I can't complain, can I? Brighton of Albion, top of the tree. I mean, it doesn't normally happen in this tournament. We haven't always had a great run in this tournament, the Premier League, but we're looking good. Guaranteed in the top 8. But I would say in that group, just adding on from them, it was always going to be potentially Forest or Brighton. It came down to that round 4. You know, if Forest got 6 points out of 6, we could be looking at a different scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a couple of things that sort of went Brighton's way. I think for me, having the ability to play all 4, set a benchmark and then say, who's going to beat that?
Yep.
And I just saw in the booth Forest looking over at the Brighton games, Brighton looking back at the Forest games. And look, it might not play a massive part, but it will play a small part of we've got to beat their result. We can't throw this away. And that late goal, we saw it in that sort of the highlights there. 85th minute, I think your goal poacher tried a long switch apply. He had one shot, you said, Painter, in that game, and he scored it. And that right there is the killer blow. That's the liver shot, because that ruined the hopes of potentially progressing through. For me, I was really impressed with Brighton, in particular Jayden. 10 points out of 12 he picked up individually. It was sublime in his approach play. He was really sort of aggressive as well in certain games, and something that didn't happen with Forest that Brighton did. They killed games off.
Yeah, and the one thing that we have to remember, when we do come back in March as well, it won't be a case of you play 2 individual games that mean 2 different points. It means aggregate scoreline as well, Kyle. So a great first day, but a lot more to come tomorrow.
A great first day indeed. There will be plenty more to come tomorrow, but we can confirm our 2 teams that have gone all the way through to the second day of our finals here at the EPL. They'll be held in March. Manchester City from Group A. We saw them at the top of the table earlier today, and more recently, Brighton and Hove Albion. They topped Group B, and they'll be going straight through to that day number 2 in March. And they have qualified Matthias Bonanno, Tex, Jayden and Mark Marley, the 4 players representing those 2 teams, Manchester City and Brighton and Hove Albion. Right, well, what a day it's been. We've enjoyed it. We've confirmed those 2 teams have gone through. All of our other teams will be going into day number 1 when it comes to March. But now our focus changes to day number 2 here. In January, we get to do it all over again. Group C and Group D. Ryan, are you ready to come back for more?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. My eyes are on Crystal Palace, my former teammate in Shells, and Nick Snebb representing them. I think they've got a point to prove, and they've got a very tough group.
Leah, when it comes to Group C and Group D, once again, you've probably got some favourites that are in there. But if today's anything to go by, we could have some upsets tomorrow.
We could. I hope so. I hope we do, because it's more fun that way, always. Obviously, Tottenham, Tom, being in the final last year and losing 2 leads, he's looking, I'm sure, to come back with a vengeance. I think Liverpool will be a force to be reckoned with. And Crystal Palace, like you mentioned, I think will be one of the popular predictions. But I don't know, maybe we'll see Manchester United, Luton, a new team in the ePremier League in the last couple of years. So.
Definitely. Group C, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Wolves, Luton Town and Bournemouth. And Group D, Arsenal, Brentford, Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur and Liverpool. And they'll all be in action tomorrow here at the ePremier League 2024. Grav, we've just mentioned one of the players to look out for, Shells. We've seen what he's been able to do representing Manchester City. He's representing Crystal Palace tomorrow. One man that's represented Tottenham time and time again. He's had a flutter with other teams as well. Tom Lees, he's back in action tomorrow. Not seen much of him this year. This will be a treat, won't it?
The thing is, online, he's been smashing it. He's been playing really good. And for me, the main thing about Tom is in 2020, he won, but it was online. And I just have this image last year when they lost the final, and I'm just reminding myself of just Stokes lifting the trophy and Tom looking directly at him, just clapping. And I know that feeling of I'm getting that trophy on land one day. And I think that's going to happen someday. And it might be this year, so let's see.
We also mentioned Shells talking there. He's representing Crystal Palace. I mean, Leah, this is a great opportunity for him. We've seen Shells, what he's managed to do, lift this trophy before as well. Do you think that he could be, come March, the only player to lift the ePremier League trophy twice? Do you think he could do it?
1,000%. And with a partner like Nick Snebb as well, very talented, especially mechanically, technically, he's a very good player. So that's, in my opinion, probably the strongest team in tomorrow in Group C and D.
Right.
That's the force to be reckoned with.
There we are. Leave it on that. I love that. Ryan, Leah, Grav, Richard, Brandon and Casey, thank you so much. And of course, Frankie, get well soon. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, who knows. But that's it for this evening. If you want to keep up to date with everything that is going on or find out more about your favourite players, head over to e.premierleague.com. Thank you so much for joining us today and tonight, and we look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow when the remaining 10 Premier League teams get their campaigns underway. That's it though. Goodbye, good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.